How mean is that? You know, it's funny. Bill Gorgo, I haven't seen him in 18 years. He has no idea. I just took his head off in a fucking ballroom before Murph and the Magic Tones come on. And until then, don't go change it.
Schmitty Comes Alive. Available only on the Joe Business page at MikeSchmidtComedy.com.
Oh, yeah. I am awake and alive and alive. I'm so great, I gotta say it twice and cut it out once. My head's a syrup bottle that's getting tipped over every Wednesday. You're a storyteller in a storytelling podcast, and the only story you're telling now is a story about stories you don't want to tell. What the fuck? Hey, what's happening, Mike Schmidt, 40-year-old boy podcast, folks? I'm upset. I'm not happy. I was happy a second ago, and now I'm not because Lily scolded me, and I don't know what to do about it. So I'm a little freaked out about it. About the fucking mailing list thing. It kind of drove me a little bit off the reservation a little bit. I have to change my mailing list, folks. If you're on my mailing list and you get an email blast from me every Thursday morning, there might not be one this week. Things are in flux. They're being changed because the guys who run my old mailing list, or my current, let's put it this way, my current mailing list, although they've put it on hold, I don't know what the fuck happened. Look, here's the thing. I don't know who these faceless bureaucrats are who decided to interfere with my Thanksgiving weekend, but they did. As they sit in their fucking dark mushroom room, cubbyhole bullshit fucking headquarters and send me a note saying, hey, we noticed that you're sending emails out. We'd like to know why. Literally, it was that vague. Just, hey, you're sending out some emails. Why? Who wants these? It's like, dude, the people who get them want them. If they don't, they click unsubscribe at the bottom of the fucking email. They sent me a note on Wednesday before Thanksgiving. They're like, you have 48 hours to tell us why you're sending emails. Or something. It was just this weird, they wanted to know what list I use. Look, folks, I don't know a fucking thing, all right? I send you a note that tells you when the show's up, and then I figure that we're all friends. Internet chums, as I've actually addressed the note several times. But now, you know who's not my internet chums? The people at fucking this list. I don't even want to say their name, because again, it's going to turn into a thing. But who cares? I'm leaving there. They're PHP list, or whoever they... But I will tell you this, they also host my website. So I can't just burn the whole fucking thing to the ground. I called Farmer Ryan and I'm like, dude, they've sent me this note and I don't know, because, all right, look, they sent me one, before I sound irrational, okay, they sent me one note and I didn't answer it because it was Thanksgiving weekend, fucking turkey and arms around one another and brotherhood and bullshit, right? Me and the Indians are fucking having maize or corn or whatever. Look, I call it corn, they call it maize, but I don't want to slight them in any way. But me and Indians are having a dinner, right? We're sitting down and Squanto's there. And I'm like, what do I do? Am I supposed to look at Squanto, who came all of this way, who presented me with the gift of gourds? Am I supposed to look at Squanto and say, hey, hang on a second, I got to deal with my email list? Squanto doesn't know from email lists. He killed a deer on the way to make sure he was warm. Honestly, he doesn't know a fucking thing about email lists. And I don't know a thing about Squanto because Squanto might be a chick. Is Squanto a chick? I have no idea. I don't remember. Sacagawea is a chick. And then Miles Standish is a dude, didn't he? And he banged Sacagawea, right? He's a pilgrim. I don't know what the fuck. Look, I don't know history. So I do a podcast, folks. You want a history-based podcast? Go find a podcast called History-Based Podcast. By the way, the guys who run History-Based Podcast, please think of a better name for your podcast than History-Based Podcast. I understand you want to cut to the chase and let people know exactly what you do, but call it something with some pizzazz. All right. That's the secret to our business. This business of podcast. Instead of show business, I have podcast business because I am not in show business. I'm not in any business, folks, and we'll get to that in a minute. So Squanto and I are having dinner, and I can't answer my email, and I try to get hold of Farmer Ryan, and he's busy too. Because he has a farm, so think of all the Indians he has to feed. So they're busy and doing it. Come on, it's a farm. It's like an open field, and Indians wander on, and you offer them the gift of venison or whatever the fuck, right? Although Ryan's not in Wisconsin, they eat venison in Wisconsin, right? I think they do. All right. I have listeners in Wisconsin who are like all excited about eating venison, and actually have put it on Facebook. Like I'll see it in the Facebook stream. Yay, venison! I'm like, oh my, is this Red Dawn? Like, where do you live, for fuck's sake? You can go to the store and buy real meat. You don't have to be eating deer that somebody killed. Fucking Ted Nugent owns Wisconsin. All of my listeners from Wisconsin are all fucking infected with cat scratch fever and killing their own meat up there. Let it go, folks. Go buy a fucking Swanson dinner. All right. So Farmer Ryan has his farm up there, and again, he's feeding Indians, and he's not available for answers. So the mailing list people, after 48 hours go by, and granted, they did tell me 48 hours, but I mean, nobody does anything after 48 hours. It's some weird line in the sand. It's the internet. Nobody's serious. Well, after 48 hours, I get an email from them promptly, too, by the way, like to the minute. And it said, hey, you didn't answer within 48 hours, so we're shutting your email list down. And I was furious. So I dealt with it myself because I don't want to bother Farmer Ryan. And again, it had just happened. So I said, really? Over Thanksgiving weekend, you decide that you're going to contact me and you need answers right away. And then when you don't get them, you shut me down. I can't get hold of my web guy. It's Thanksgiving. I'm out of town, which is a lie. But but as far as they don't fucking know. How do they know? It's a robot who lives in the computer. He has no, although he might have eyes on me. Holy shit. Maybe my computer is self-aware and is contacted by the fucking mailing list people. That's not good. I have a spy in my midst. There's a spy in the house of love. There's a spy in the house of Schmidt. A Max spy. After all the money I've given you, Max. All right. So, by the way, I do not live in the house of love at all. I live in the one-bedroom apartment of like. No, actually, I live in the one-bedroom apartment of tolerance. So there's a barely. I live in the one-bedroom apartment of barely tolerating. All right, so I have to answer them, and so I type out this thing, and I go, listen, here's the deal, because all they wanted to know how I got all the names from my mailing list, and if I bought them, and I just wrote, I go, look. I'm a comedian. Over 5 years, I've gathered these names. Whenever anybody sends me an email or anybody purchases anything from me, they go on the emailing list. And by the way, that's a complete lie, because once I did Kickstarter last year, I stopped adding addresses because it was it was work. And it wasn't really work. It was just like a 3-step process, and it took it took 30 seconds to a minute to add people. Well, with Kickstarter, so many people were coming in, like unique addresses. I just kind of stopped adding them because I was like, oh fuck. I mean, it's just an email list, and that's on me. I'm an idiot. I should have added more. So I kind of, if people donate to the show, if anybody buys anything, I will put them on the email list. So I told them that in the email. I said, listen, anyone who's on this email list knows me and what I do. I haven't harvested any email addresses from anywhere else. I haven't I haven't bought a list from anyone. These people are all interested in doing business with me or hearing from me. There's an unsubscribe link on every email. If they want to click it, they're out. Certainly it will hurt my feelings and they'll be dead to me from that point on, but still, they're out if that's what they choose. And then 3, I only bother these. I bother people once a week. I send them one email a week, and it's been truncated. It's funny. My friend Chip Chinnery, who is a fucking business idiot who won't leave me alone constantly, and again, I don't mean that in a mean way. Chip's my friend, and he makes a ton of money, and he's incredibly rich, and I should follow his lead. However, I can't be bothered. I think I just told you I stopped adding names to the list because it took 30 seconds. But Chip's got this like elaborate plan of like tracking people and finding out demographics, and I'm like, what the fuck? Demographics? What do I need demographics for? And I guess because in the future, if advertisers want to come to me and say, hey, who do you target and who do you reach? I could say these people. But I mean, my demographics are all over the map. Like I said, I've got 10 people in Sri Lanka and the rest of the people in America who hate me, and Canadians. That's it. That's my whole list. Although that's a lie. I have some people in China who try to get a hold of me, in Saudi Arabia. Try to get a hold of me sounds weird. Like, no, they write me or they listen to the show. Nobody's trying to get a hold of me and can't, other than the people at HostGator. So, the mailing list guys. So, I tried to say it in layman's terms. And look, by the way, I'm tarting this up for the show here. I was professional and wrote them, and I wasn't mean at all. And I tried to explain to them in layman's terms exactly what I do. And also conveyed my frustration that they would shut me down on a holiday weekend. So they wrote me back in a couple of hours and just said, okay, you've been reinstated, but here's what we need from you. And they gave me a list of people's names, like addresses from the list. They said, we need to know how you obtained these specific addresses, And it was just a random sampling they grabbed because they wanted to know that I knew the people. And then they said, we need to know how we can sign up to be in, because we need to know if you are a single opt-in or a double opt-in list. And what that means is that there's a separate website where people can go ahead and do this, and then you email them something with a link that they can click to assume that they... And I'm like, I'm reading it and my eyes glaze over because I'm like, what the fuck? You and your legalese. I explained to you how people get on the list. I don't have a fucking website. I don't send anybody an email to confirm. If they don't want to be on, they hit unsubscribe and they're out. If anybody ever writes me and says, please remove me from the list, guess what? They're off. And also, guess what? In 5 years, the number of people who've done that is in single digits. The people who've ever written to me and said, you need to take me off, is in single digits. And then they ask me, they're like, when bounce back addresses happen, do you remove them? I don't fucking know. Talk to the robot who runs the list. I fucking send out a list every week, and then I compile names. That's all I do. So they wanted to know all about this double opt-in, single opt-in. So then I wrote them again, and I said, it was literally, I think I even wrote, sigh, let me explain this to you again. I have added all of these addresses manually. I mean, we're into the thousands now, folks. I've added all of you manually. When you write me, I take your name and I myself go to the website, I sign in, I search to see if you're part of it. If you're not, I go ahead and add you. Done. You're in. Confirmed. So I told them that. I said, listen, I've added all of these manually. There is no website. There is no list. I did not purchase. I did not harvest. Everybody who's on this wants to be on it. And if they don't, they click the handy unsubscribe link at the bottom of the email. Again, I'm repeating myself to you, but imagine how frustrated I was repeating myself in the middle of the night to the fucking robot who keeps sending me this goddamn ticket number IJL146D, whatever the fuck. So, they write me back again and they're like, okay, that's great. We just need to know how we can sign up for this list and what to do with a double opt-in. Like, it's literally the same fucking thing. And so finally I was able to get hold of Farmer Ryan, and I forwarded it to him. I go, look, this is what I'm dealing with. I don't know what they want, but what I want to do is I want to basically tell these people to fuck off, burn everything to the ground, and leave. And he's like, well, because I also, there's another, my friend Chip Chinnery, business genius, has been trying to get me to switch my mailing list to a different client for quite a while now. Well, now I see the opportunity. The window is opened. It's been opened for me, and my ass has been kicked out of it by these guys and their constant inquiries and their non-listening to me. So I said, all right, now is as good a time as any to make the fucking switch. So I talked to Ryan about it, and he was real cool. I said, the most important thing you need to do right now is go to this list and get my addresses, get my mailing list out of their database, because I need it to switch. I said, I don't know, right now it's a hair trigger situation at this point. I don't know when fucking Skynet is going to just wake up and decide to just terminate my entire list, and then I'm going to sink into the magma, and my fucking hand is going to melt, and I'm going to point at fucking Eddie Furlong. Who the fuck knows? So I told him the most important thing right now is go get the list, and then we can go from there. And he's like, all right, that's fine. So, by the way, I don't think he was that upset about it as I make, all right, that's fine. I don't think he was that guy. In my head, he was that guy. But in reality, Farmer Ryan was really cool, and he went ahead and he grabbed the lists. And then he went to look at the other mail client, and he's like, all right, I'm taking a look at this. And then I wrote HostGator again, and I'm like, listen, here's the thing. And I tried to explain again what we do, and then they came back again with the same. Our words were smashing into one another and falling to the ground. They weren't listening to me, and I guess I wasn't getting what they wanted, although I was trying to explain to them, I don't know what you're talking about with a list, but whatever the fuck, who cares? The bottom line is I'm switching. I've switched clients. So I went in last night, and I started looking around at the new mail list. I don't understand it at all. I don't get it. I'm trying to fucking learn how to... All I want to do, again, is write an email to all of you. That's all I want to do. That's it. But I go into this new thing, and there's a new heading, and then there's a text or an HTML, and I have to build this list, and there's like 9 templates, and then you can insert images, and it's like I don't want to send anybody a goddamn newsletter. I'm not sending recipes to people, all right? I just want to tell them the fucking show is up and make a bunch of innocuous jokes about the fucking Joe Business page. That's it. That's all I want to do. So I dicked around with it last night for like 3 hours, trying to build email lists, sending the test lists, and building emails, and I got it sent to me, and it was nothing but code. Like, I opened it up once it arrived, and it was code all the way to the bottom, and then there was the text that I had written. But it was saddled with a hat code, or a code that was a hat. I don't know what the fuck. Literally, it was just this fucking skyscraper of code, and underneath it there was one line from me. So I forwarded that to fucking Farmer Ryan. I'm like, dude, I don't know what this is, and he's dicking around with Mailchimp, and or should I say who it is? Yeah, who cares? So he's dicking around with that, and he's trying to figure it out for me, and he's got it, of course, because he's Farmer Ryan, the fucking web genius. I don't know a fucking thing. So he just sent me an email. He's like, hey, dude, I have a time for a tutorial tonight. By the way, this is Wednesday. We're recording on Wednesday. We're back to the normal schedule. And he said, I have time for a tutorial to walk you through things tonight, or you can call me in the morning, you know. And I said, whatever, so bottom line is you might not get an email from me tonight, folks. You may, it just might be filled with code. Who knows? I'll have to figure it out. Or maybe I'll just have Ryan write it. I have no idea. But also, let me tell you this. So then I'm sitting here and I'm telling Lily about this. I'm complaining before I went on the air. And she goes, yeah, you're going to have to deal with the same thing over at MailChimp. But I go, no, I'm not. Ryan checked it out. She goes, no, you are. It's the spamming law. And so you're going to have to do a double opt-in with them too. And I'm like, well, but I'm not. I'm telling you that Ryan went. And she goes, no, trust me. I've done 100 email lists. I have one now. You're going to have to deal with the same exact thing. Which just put this fucking black cloud over my head before the fucking show. Because, I mean, I'm upset and pissed off that this is happening. But I'm like, finally, it's been fixed. And she just basically tells me to my face, no, fuck you. It's not fixed. You're fucked. You know, nothing you do is going to change it. You're going to have to deal with this goddamn bullshit from the rest of your life. And I don't know what the fuck that means. Like, all I want to do is send an email. All I want to do is send you people a fucking email that says, hey, hi, there's a show. Contact me if you want. But now I'm finding out about double opt-ins and double secret probation and fucking bullshit and Dean Wormer and fucking, you know, Marmalade. And I want nothing to do with it, okay? I just want to contact you people and tell you there's a fucking show available. But now Lily, who's my ally, my close personal friend, you know, Farmer Ryan held my hand and is like, hey, we're going to do this. It's going to be fine. I come here and Lily slaps me in the face and goes, fuck you, snap out of it. Fucking Moonstruck style. And she's like, you're going to have to deal with this the rest of your life. Double opt-ins are the new thing, and you have to fucking deal with it. So now I'm sitting here, and I'm ready to do the show. I'm like, yay, let's talk about comedy. But now I have to deal with the technical side. And again, folks, I'm the talent. I'm the fucking talent. I don't know how to build a website or a mailing list. I don't know how to produce a show or record it or do a sound check. I don't know a fucking thing. You put a microphone in front of me, and I'll talk. That's all I can do. It's literally the only talent I have. And believe me, that has been driven home very fiercely over the past few fucking weeks. And I'll get to that. But that's all I fucking can do. That's all I know how to do. That's all I have. That's the only bullet in my gun. And for me to sit down here and she's just like, yeah, you're fucked. You know what? You have to deal with double opt-ins for the rest of your life. I don't know. I don't want to deal with those. So I'm ready. Again, like I said, when I contacted Ryan, Farmer Ryan, and I'm like, hey, I just want to tell these people to fuck off, man, and just switch. And he writes me back with this, hey, because he listens to the show, so he knows me. And he's like, hey, maybe you don't want to burn this to the ground yet because they host your whole website. Like they host everything, your email client and your website. So if you write them a note telling them to fuck off, it might affect a lot more than your mailing list. It might affect it. And I felt bad too because then I wrote him and I talked to him on the phone and I go, hey, I'm not. When I say tell them to fuck off, I just mean leave. I mean, I'm not gonna send them a note that's like fuck you and fuck you and fuck you. Who's next? I mean, I don't. That's not what I'm going to do. I want to. I mean, again, I'm a 45-year-old child who just wants to fucking burn everything to the ground. That's fine, but I would never do that because I know that there's other consequences and other things that have. And again, if this is their rules, that's their rules. But here's the problem: I thought I was leaving their rules behind and running free through the wheat field of email lists for the rest of my life until I got here and mom shit right in my face with fuck you, dude. Double opt-ins are the new you. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck to do with that. I get no fucking clue. So I'm supposed to do a comedy show when I got Lily telling me, yeah, fuck you, dude. Whatever you decide is wrong. So, all right. So I don't know because I'm frustrated enough about not being able to do a proper email for you guys tonight. But now I found out that for the rest of my life, I'm never going to be able to do one because I thought, you know, Ryan told me because there's a certain number at MailChimp where you have to start paying once you get over that many subscribers. And I'm like, well, we're close to that, but I don't think we're that close where it's going to be an issue right now. Let's just go in. Because he said, you can sign up now and just start paying. And I go, no, fuck that. I'm not giving them a dime until they need it. But now Lily's telling me eventually, psychically, it's going to cost me because I have to deal with double opt-ins and shit. Don't shake your head. You did that. When I sat down, you're just like, Mike, because I even said, no, MailChimp's different. Ryan fixed it. You go, no, it's not. It's not. I've dealt with it. I've dealt with them. I know all about it.
I have a MailChimp account. I have 2 other mail server accounts as well, including Constant Contact. Every email service requires double opt-in availability.
Well, how come? Fine. How come I haven't dealt with that for 5 years?
Because they didn't know that you were running a large email list, and all of a sudden are going, hey, we need to make sure that everybody that's doing it is complying. So they're just catching up to you finally. That's all.
Well, then, so the government gives a shit about who I send emails to? That's the dumbest thing in the world.
No, there's a law that I can't send you email unsolicited.
But it's not. I just told you. I assured them that it wasn't unsolicited.
That's what's required to be assured as unsolicited is a double opt-in email list.
Fuck that.
With an unsubscribe ability. It's the law.
There's unsubscribe on every single email.
Yes, but they need to know exactly how it works. If it's manual, what are you doing to run this email?
I told them all of that. And they told me I had to switch to a double opt-in. I had to have a website. They told me I had to build like a thing.
You legally have to have one.
Fuck legally. What the fuck?
Interstate
The internet is the Wild West. Do me a favor. Go to fucking 4chan or go to Reddit or go find people that are putting up pictures of guys getting run over by cars in Russia and deal with them. Fucking leave me and my tiny mailing list alone. How many times do I have to see a woman shitting out 5 basketballs out of her rectum before somebody goes ahead and does something about that?
I don't think you have to see that.
I have and I will, and I see it constantly, all the time.
You have.
Some girl just squirting out fucking Nerf basketballs out of her ass. 5, 6, 7. And it's like, like, yay, that's fantastic. Go regulate her. Find out what the double opt-in is on her ass and basketballs. Don't fucking come after me for my email list with people who want to hear from me. You know what? If I'm shitting basketballs out and sending people that, then fine. Then you can get involved and go, hey, who double opted into your shitting basketballs website? That's fine. But all I'm doing is telling people where they can go find my stuff. That's it. Fuck business. Ridiculous. There's so much horrible shit out there for them to be involved in. Go take care of that. Start at the top. Why are you starting at the bottom? I am literally the bottom of the internet. I am the floor. I am the floor of the internet. Don't sweep the floor. Why don't you clean the roof and the ceiling and clean out the gutters of the fucking internet before you get to the goddamn floor? Let me survive down here on the little crumbs that have all fallen off the rich people's plates who run the rest of the fucking internet. God damn it. Enough. So tired of it. Just a fucking, literally, I had Chip telling me, he's like, oh, dude, it's Small Business Saturday. You're a small business. No, I'm not. I'm not even small. I'm tiny. I'm infinitesimal. You can't even see me with a microscope. That's how small my business is. Oh, dude, you should get these people. No, I shouldn't. I already tapped these motherfuckers for all the money I possibly can. I'm selling everything, even to the point of where I sold personal appearances, for fuck's sake. Hey, I'll show up at dinner with you. I mean, it's just the dumbest thing in the world. That's all I have. Fucking go regulate real people. Don't regulate me. I'm nobody. I'm absolutely nobody. Fuck. How are you, folks? How are you? I'm, yeah. Thanksgiving was fun. Let's talk about that. I did the Podcastathon for Thanksgiving, the Jimmy Pardo, where they raised the money for the kids without a face. They asked me to be involved, and I was trying to figure out, because I did it 2 years ago, and I brought a bunch of donuts. I brought like 20 dozen donuts from Krispy Kreme for the crowd and like this whole thing. And then 19 dozen of those donuts went uneaten. Like they sat in a hallway gathering because I was the last guest. So, and everybody was full and tired and like nobody wanted it, because I thought the sugar would get them picked up and all that. So I thought it would be fun. It would be a fun bit. And I brought all these donuts. I thought it was funny. And then of course, I got yelled at for it and whatever the fuck. So, I thought it was funny then. So then this year I was like, well, I can't do that again. I don't, but I wanted to bring something. I wanted it to be fun. So I was going to get, cause it's California, and Krispy Kremes are all over, but that felt like something kind of unique to me when I did it. So, I was the last guest again this year. They actually went long. They were supposed to go from noon to midnight, but then they told me, all right, so Jimmy, I should tell you, he contacts me last Monday, and he's like, hey, you're scheduled for 12:40 a.m. And I knew they were going from from noon to midnight, so I thought I was getting punked, and I was going to show up at like an empty theater. Like it just felt like a goof, like they had somehow made a mistake. So I didn't answer his email because it was the email and they wanted me to confirm. And then like 2 hours later, he sends me a text. He's like, are we cool? Did you get the email? And I said, yeah, although it says 12:40. Am I getting, like, what's happening? And that doesn't make any sense. You're ending at midnight. Why the fuck am I showing up late? Am I cleaning up? And he texts and he's just like, no, we're going long. It's kind of a thing that we're doing. We know, I think what they did was they booked a bunch of people. And a lot of people said yes, that they were, and they went, oh, okay, all right, okay, all right. Because again, a lot of people, when they were doing it from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., I would imagine they had trouble filling the later hours. But from noon to midnight, well, fuck, people can do that. Of course they can do that. So I think they wound up getting a surplus of guests. So they went ahead and decided they were going to go long. And they know that I'm good for being late anyway. And also because they wanted to, the way that, I was the first guest ever. So then they had me as the last guest on Podcastathon. It's the thing they do. So that was pretty cool. So I said, all right, yeah, I'll do it at 12:40. So I wanted to figure out a thing to do. So what I was going to do was I was going to get 50 double doubles. Because there's like 100 people in the audience, right? So I figured, well, not everybody's going to want to eat a fucking double cheeseburger in the middle of the night. So if I get 50, they'll have bites, or they'll split them, or they'll cut them in half. It'll be a thing. But just all I care about, honestly, is the visual of all of the dudes in the back carrying out 50 double cheeseburgers. That's like, to me, that's the greatest part of it. I don't give a shit even if people eat them. Just to be able to do the bit and to bring them all out and Tony Randall style. I was like, hey, guess what we have? I think that's fun. That's totally fun to me. It's almost like an Oprah's favorite thing, stupid thing to do. Hey, you get a double cheeseburger and you get a double cheeseburger. I'm sorry, you don't get a double cheeseburger. Not everybody gets a double cheeseburger. Because there's 100 people and I couldn't buy 100 double cheeseburgers because now we're looking at like $500. But I could get 50, and then everybody could split it and have bites and pass them around. So that was the plan. So I thought of that on Tuesday. So Wednesday I called. In my head I was going to order them ahead of time. And then I went, well, fuck, Thursday's Thanksgiving. Podcast on is Friday. I don't want to fuck around with calling on Friday just in case. I'll call Wednesday. So I called Wednesday and I called corporate. I called In-N-Out Corporate, and I said, hi, hey, I have to make a huge order for Friday night, and I need to know what I need to do. And they go, well, you have to go into the restaurant and order it. I said, okay, that's fine. I said, I'm ordering like 50 double doubles, and I just want to know, can I just order them with you and you place it? And she goes, no. She goes, we don't take any orders ahead of time. I said, well, you don't. You're corporate. I go, but can I go into the store? And she goes, well, no, we don't. You can't do that. It's against our policy. You need to walk in the door and order your food and pay for it, and then we will give it to you. I said, well, I'm ordering 50 double cheeseburgers at midnight. And she goes, well, I understand that. She goes, but what you would do then is you would just go in and order them, and they would cook them. They're made to order. I said, well, yes, I want you to make them to order, but I want to order them early so then I can just drive up at midnight and pick them up. I don't want to have to walk in and wait for you to make 50 double cheeseburgers. She said, well, that's our policy. And she goes, what store were you going to? I said, well, there's a couple by me. I said, but I was going to go to the one on Lankershim, which is this in North Hollywood. She goes, yeah, I'm sorry. They're not going to be able to help you. That's one of our smaller stores. They only have one grill. I said, well, that's why I want to order them ahead of time. So they wind up having them. And she goes, well, it doesn't matter if they had to make them then there's people in the drive-thrus waiting while they're making your food and it can't be done. I said, well, where can I go where they will do it? She goes, well, there's one in Studio City. And I said, that was my second choice. She goes, well, that's a bigger restaurant, so yeah, they could probably help you, but you'll need to go in and order them. I'm not going in, ordering 50 double cheeseburgers and waiting. I said, can't I just go in and pay in the morning and order them and then pick them up that night? She goes, oh, well, yeah, maybe. You need to go in and talk to the manager on duty. She goes, but I can't authorize that over the phone. I'm like, well, fuck. Well, yes, I'm not asking you to be the In-N-Out spokesperson and just go, yes. I mean, just tell me, point me in the right direction. That's fine. She goes, well, I think you can. I don't know. You'll have to. And honestly, at that point, I had lost all interest in buying 50 double cheeseburgers. Like, why are you making this so fucking difficult for me? I'm giving you $300 for 50 double cheeseburgers. Why are you telling me no? I know you love Jesus, but maybe I should have said that. This is for Jesus. He wants 50 double cheeseburgers. She would have said yes right away because that's all, In-N-Out is all about God. So maybe I should have made it some sort of fucking religious connotation. But so I just lost all fucking hope. I was like, yeah, forget it. So then I wanted to get a t-shirt made up. And I wanted it on the front to say, I went to the 2012 Podcastathon, and all I got was this lousy t-shirt. And on the back, it would say, but 5 kids in the Dominican Republic got a new face.
Oh, my God.
And I wanted that. It was Wednesday, so I'm like, where can I get that done? And folks, anytime I start thinking about t-shirts, do me a favor, just tell me to start thinking about 50 cheeseburgers. Honestly, it makes no sense. So I started to think about the places that I had called before, and I'm like, well, no. I just need one shirt with printing on it. So then I tried to find a place and again, it was Wednesdays. It was already close to the holiday, and I was not going out on Black fucking Friday to get a goddamn t-shirt made. So I just went, I can't do that. I came up too late with that idea too late. And besides, it would have been wrong because I guess it costs $250 to fix a face. So 5 kids wouldn't get a new face. That would be a $1,250 t-shirt. That's not happening. So the joke wouldn't even worked on its face, on its replaced face. So then I had this idea, folks. Here's what I did. If you didn't see Podcastathon, if you did see it, then you already know what I did. But I had this idea. I wanted to go buy a cake. And but not just a cake. Here was the bit. The whole bit was I bought a cake, and on the cake I wanted it to say "Congrats Podcastathon 2012," but I told the woman to write "Congrats Patcastathon 2012." Because our friend Pat Francis was there. He's the third chair for the show. And so that would be I would have the guy from the back bring out the cake, and then I would hold it up for everybody and say, oh, so I had to get another cake. So the whole point is then instead of erasing it or having them do it over, I bought a second cake. And the second cake they brought out, and it said, congrats Mattcastathon 2012, because of Matt Belknap, who is the producer of the show and the entrepreneur or whatever the fuck they call him now. So then I said, so you know what? I need a third cake. So sure enough, I had them. I went to Ralph's. I bought all of these. I bought 4 cakes. The third cake, I said, you know what? Don't even worry about the names. It's for Smile Train. It's for charity. And, it's for these kids who, I don't know if you're aware of this, ma'am. There are children overseas who keep getting an axe in the face. It is a terrible problem overseas. Oh my God. And so these guys, they're doing a show for charity that fixes these kids with like machete wounds in their face. And so I said what I wanted her to write on the cake was "Congrats, Smile Train, choo choo," and to put smiley faces on the cake, like because they're getting their faces fixed. So what I had the woman do was I had her write "Congrats, Smiley Train, moo moo." And when the guys are like, well, why doesn't it say choo choo? I said, well, she said that because they don't have the face, they'd say moo moo instead of choo choo. And what I had her do was I said to her when I asked her to build the cake, because again, I'm telling her to do the shit. Look, there's nothing better than someone who has no reference point for your joke having to do the things to make your joke work. Because I'm trying to explain it to her, like she's I asked for a cake. I went on Thanksgiving Day at Ralph's to get these cakes, and I said, look, I need to order 4 cakes for tomorrow. And she's like, we're out of cakes. I mean, I can't. And I go, well, no, I won't need them till tomorrow night at midnight. She goes, yeah, believe me, we're sold out of cakes. I said, well, you got cakes here in the front. She goes, oh, well, if you want to pick those cakes, that's fine. She goes, but to make you special cakes, we wouldn't do it because we're not here the rest of the day today. And then tomorrow we're only open till 7. I went, all right. So yeah, I'll just pick these sheet cakes out. So I grabbed 4 sheet cakes and I just had her write on them, which is all I wanted. I didn't want some fucking elaborate wedding cake. So then when I'm telling her what to write, I said, write "Congrats Podcastathon 2012," and because I actually typed it all out and I held it for her, and I stood over her shoulder and watched her write it all out on these sheet cakes. So the third cake with the Smile Train one, I wanted to explain the joke to her, and I'm trying to, and then I went, you know what, forget it. I go, the thing is, you got to put a smiley face in one corner. I go, do you have any like leftover jack-o'-lanterns from Halloween? And she said, I don't know why. And I said, well, it's a joke because the whole point is these kids, their faces are all messed up. So I want you to put like a before and after, like you're drawing a smiley face. So I want a goofy jack-o'-lantern with a fucked up mouth as the before picture. Oh my God. And she's like, okay. So like not even getting it, but just like kind of going, it just wants me out of her hair at that point. Whatever I would have, if I would have said draw a cock on this cake, she would have done it just to get me to leave her the fuck alone. So she can go home and have cranberry sauce with her family. So we grab the cake, and so she starts digging through this thing, and they got all these Christmas decorations, and then she gets to the bottom, and there's a bunch of pumpkins, but they're all normal pumpkins. But then there was a ring, like a child's ring that you could put on, and it was a jack-o'-lantern ring with a fucked up mouth, and I just went, done, grab it. So she grabbed it, and we jammed it in the cake, and we had a smiley face on the other side, and I put that. And then the fourth cake, it actually said, congrats Podcastathon 40,000 plus, because of the money they were going to make. So I bought all 4 cakes, and they were great because I asked her, she's like, you can pick them up tomorrow night at 7. And I'm like, ooh, because I didn't need them till like 1 in the morning or 12 midnight. So I asked the manager, I go, hey, what time do you guys close tomorrow? He said 2. I said, dude, can I come pick up these cakes at like midnight? He goes, yeah, we'll keep them in the fridge for you. Awesome. So I showed up to pick them up, and it's so stupid. I wanted to just go. I knew where they were. I saw where she put them. So they made me bring a bagger over, and he starts looking. He can't find them. And then he goes in another freezer. I go, it's not in that freezer. It's in the other freezer. I guarantee it's in the other fridge. And he's like, well, I looked in there and they're not there. So I said, can I help you look? He goes, yeah, come on back. So I went in the back, and I looked in the, and he wasn't wrong. They weren't where they were supposed to be. They were gone. There was a bunch of sheet cakes with no writing on them. And so then we looked in the other freezer. They weren't there. And then I started to lose my mind because, you know, I paid for these cakes and they were written, and it was a bit. The whole bit was predicated on the fucking cakes. And then finally it turned out they were making bread and it was proofing. And so I moved the racks of bread out, and she had put them back on in the way back to clear rooms. They were there, bottom line. And so then I took them to the fucking gig and brought them out. And what was fun, we almost dropped one of the cakes on Pat, like when they brought it out for the joke. And that any sugar high I hoped people would have gotten paled in comparison to the fucking gulp and scream that I got from people when the cake fell off and almost landed on Pat. That woke everybody in the fucking room up. They were just like, ah! But it was great. It was a great bit. And they raised like fucking $100,000. They raised 58, I think, and that an anonymous donor matched it. And you're welcome. I didn't tell them I matched it with $58,000 worth of double cheeseburgers. So I hope these kids can chew. That's the thing, was one half of it goes to fix their faces, and the other half goes to pay for double cheeseburgers for them to eat. Because, come on, literally, if you had a fucked up face and then you got it fixed, isn't the first thing you would think is like, I want to eat a double cheeseburger? Of course. I guarantee you, if you see anybody with like a messed up face, they're just like, oh my God, I can't wait till my face gets fixed so I can have a goddamn In-N-Out double cheeseburger. In fact, honestly, I wish somebody would hit me in the face with a machete just so I could look forward to getting it fixed so I could have an In-N-Out double cheeseburger. Because I can get one now, but I know I won't appreciate it. I know right now if I got myself an In-N-Out double, I would not appreciate it nearly as much as I would if a guy hit me in the face with a machete and I had to wait years to get my face fixed, and then I fucking enjoyed an In-N-Out double. Oh my God. The enjoyment, the pure fucking joy that you would experience in your body. It doesn't, because right now I can get it on the way home. Literally, on the way home I could stop and get myself an In-N-Out double. So fucking what? Right? But if I had had my fucking face bashed in by a machete by the fucking Rwandan Tsitsi tribe, whoever the fuck they are, Tutsis. All right. I'm mad at myself because I can't pull the name of the tribe from Rwanda, and then in my same breath I'm like, what is wrong? Who the fuck? Why are you angry at yourself that you can't think of a random tribe in Rwanda? Who the fuck would be able to pull it off the top of their head like that at warp speed? I think it's the Tutsis, right? The Tutsi tribe. But the reason I don't think it's that, because then in my head I just want to go Tutsi goodbye. You know what I mean? And I'm like, well, there's no way that this fierce tribe was hitting kids in the face with machetes could be named the Tutsi tribe. They would think twice. They would have a meeting, a tribal meeting, where they thought of a much more fierce name, like the flaming skull machete wielders or some fucking. Oh, that's a terrible name. Hold on, that can't be that name. Are you looking it up? It's the Tutsis, right, or the Tsitsi?
I'm trying to find out.
Because a Tsitsi is a fly, and like I said, the Tutsi, that was. By the way, that's a tribe that all dresses like women so they can get on a soap opera. Oh, it's terrible. And then they bashed fucking Charles Durning in the face with a machete.
Tutsis, Tutsis.
See, I'm right. The Tutsi tribe. All right, good. I wasn't wrong. But still, at the same time, let me call those guys because they need a more fierce name, a scarier name. Like just that, like, I mean, look at Hell's Angels. That's a scary name, right? Hell's Tootsies? No, it doesn't work. God damn it. All right, folks. I don't know. I'm trying to think of that would be a good job to be in charge of thinking up scary names for fucking for tribes. But then they'd pay you in like cow blood. Well, maybe it's not a job. Maybe it's just there's got to be a tribal elder in charge of thinking of the name. Although I'll tell you what, if the guy who thought of Tootsie still has a job, get him the fuck out of there. That's not scary at all. Even at Machete Point, that's not a scary name. You know, I think that's why they decided to pick up machetes and start hitting kids. Because the kids are like, oh my God, the Tootsie tribe. And then kids started making fun of it and laughing. And they said, that's it. We're hitting all these kids in the face with a machete. Not a machete, with machetes. What if there was one machete? See, that's the problem. The tribe, the Tootsie tribe, that's why they're not fierce at all. They have one machete. Get more machetes. Change your name and buy more machetes, Tootsie tribe. Even you know what? Even the machetes. That would be a good name for a tribe. The machetes. Machetes? Machetes. Wait a minute, that sounds like a fucking Italian restaurant. Forget I said it. All right. Maybe this, you know what, this is a tougher job than I thought, folks. All right. And then Friday I went to the movies. Like the day after Thanksgiving, my wife had a luncheon. My wife is a lady who lunches. So she had friends over to the house. Oh, God. to the 1-bedroom apartment of tolerance. She had people over of barely tolerance, and I did not want to sit around while she talked to those people. So I said I got to get the fuck out of here. So she had some friends over to eat like lunch. She made a lunch for them, and so I had to go to the movies. So I texted Lily, and she was busy at the Magic Castle, and it's not even. I shouldn't even contact her anymore because I know she's not sitting here with me. She's off watching some guy pull a card out of his pocket. I mean, honestly, there's no. She's never anywhere else. Monday night, she's at the Monday Night Teas. Wednesday, she's recording this. And then every other day of the week, she's still watching a guy pull scarves out of his fucking jacket. But then she invited me. She's like, well, you can come to lunch here. And I'm like, no, thanks. I don't like, disappearing quarter soup. That made me laugh. But, plus I don't have a tie. Like, you got to wear fancy clothes when you go to the Magic Castle, and I couldn't do it, not even for lunch. So I was going to the movies, and I wanted to go see Seven Psychopaths, which is Colin Farrell, Christopher Walken. I mean, everybody. Sam Rockwell. Fucking, there's a million dudes in it, and it was good. It was less a movie than it was a bunch of set pieces jammed together, and hey, it's like, hey, look at all the stuff that happened over a couple days, like that. Michael Pitt is in it, and that was an interesting thing. I did not know he was going to be in there. I like Michael Pitt. His death, I think, really kind of took the wind out of Boardwalk Empire, at least for the first 8 episodes this year, because I missed his presence. Well, seriously, I mean, it started to turn around late with the last couple episodes, but the first, I mean, I really missed his presence. You know what I mean? I just thought I liked what he did. And I don't find that they were able to fill his void, because I thought they were going to fill it with Steve Buscemi, and then it turns out Steve Buscemi they did not. But in the last couple episodes, they kind of have. Who cares? You don't care. This isn't a goddamn television review show. What? Oh, sure they do. Everybody cares about my feelings about Boardwalk Empire. Of course they do. So I saw Seven Psychopaths, and it was at Hollywood and Highland. So I parked in here by the oldest building in Hollywood, and I had to walk over to the theater. And it was Friday, Black Friday, so it was a zoo. And all of the fucking Hello Kitties and Master Chiefs and everybody was out there in their fucking costumes. So I went to the box office and bought a ticket for Seven Psychopaths at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, $14. And I said, whoa. I said, is that just a holiday price, or is it, I mean, because it's matinee, right? And she goes, no, it's $14 all day, like all the time. Because there is no matinee at Hollywood and Highland, because people are just getting gouged left and right. So I paid it. And, all right, I have to come back, but I paid it, and I'll cut to this real quick. Then I went upstairs to go to the movie, and I walked in, and nobody said a fucking word to me. Nobody took my ticket at the front. Nobody asked me if I wanted popcorn. Nobody said, fuck you. I walked up to the theater and sat down. I literally could have just walked in. Nobody said a word to me. So pissed. So, but anyway, I bought the ticket, and then I'm downstairs, and I'm trying to find my way through the teeming masses of people. And like I said, there's a Spider-Man, and then there's another Spider-Man, and then there's 2 Batmen, and then there's a fucking Wonder Woman. Have you seen the Wonder Woman? She's like a chick in like a real skimpy costume. Yeah. Yeah, it's terrible, but she's got a nice body. So, but I see a guy standing by the wall, and it's look. All right, I know it's not him. Okay, I know it's not him. You know it's not him, but it doesn't matter. I did a triple take. Like, I saw him and then looked and squinted and then went to walk away and made myself stop and look again. Because, like, I know it's not him because he's wearing a costume, first of all. I mean, this guy's not going to show up wearing a costume. He's also not going to be standing there in the middle of all these people just waiting for something to happen. However, if you would have told me, like, if I saw this guy somewhere else, like if he wasn't trying to pimp his wares and sell photographs of himself, if you told me that this was Tom Cruise, I would absolutely believe it. I would absolutely fucking believe that this guy was Tom. He looked exactly like Tom Cruise. He was even short. He might have been about 5'7", and Tom Cruise is, what, 5'4". But Jesus Christ. Tom Cruise isn't that small, right? He's not Prince small. Prince is 5'2". Cruise, I think he's like 5'7", 5'8", right? Because Pardo's 5'4". There's no way Tom Cruise is Jimmy Pardo sized.
5'7" inches.
Yeah, okay. All right, then
I
this.
don't think that's true though.
No, because I actually stood next to Tom Cruise. I told that story on here, didn't I? Did I ever tell that story? All right, I'll get to that in a second. But I saw this dude. The reason this is why I really knew he wasn't Tom Cruise, because again, Tom Cruise would not be out on Black Friday standing there waiting to be photographed. But also, he was wearing the Top Gun outfit. Like, so I figured Tom Cruise isn't going to be out on Black Friday wearing the Top Gun outfit at Hollywood and Highland. But he had the mirrored shades, the haircut, and he would get pictures with people. They would stop and take a picture, and he would do the cruise, the cocky grin, and he'd either give a thumbs up or he'd point at the camera. And it was the first time I actually debated, because like I had the Elmo punch me on in New York, and I've taken stupid pictures and put them up on Facebook just to be funny. But this was the first time I actually considered paying a dude to get his photograph, because he looked exactly like Tom Cruise. Is he out there all the time? I might have to go back. I mean, seriously, he just. Like I might buy him lunch just to have him go with me and see people's reactions. Like, it was that crazy how much he looked like him, to the point where I when I walked in the theater later, I went upstairs, and the first picture you see when you walk in, because they have all the history of Hollywood photos, is they have Cruise from the Man's Chinese, A Few Good Men, I believe it is, and it's 91, so it might have been fucking Days of Thunder, I don't know, but he's putting his handprints in the cement, and it's a photo on the wall. I would bring that dude up there to take the picture in front of the Cruise picture. That's how good it is. And he just stood there. I will tell you this too, he was not, everybody else is aggressive. Like, they're, every rapper in the world is out there with his mixtape, and every people in costumes are just approaching kids and, jumping out SpongeBob, whatever. But Cruise is just leaning against the wall, waiting for people to look at him and go, holy shit, that looks just like Tom Cruise. It was I loved the approach. That was even better. But yeah, he was fucking amazing looking. I told the Cruise story on here. We went to a thing at UCLA, and it was a retrospective of his career. And we got there, and we were in front of Royce Hall, and all of a sudden there's this huge crowd of people, and they're freaking out, and it's just Tom Cruise walking at UCLA. He's walking, and he's meeting everybody, and he's stopping and posing for photographs, and he's shaking hands. And so I'm right there. I'm a foot away from him, and he's being crowded. And then Karen gets in front, and he grabs Karen, he puts his arms around her, and we have a picture. We have two great pictures. I got one on my phone, which I think I still have somewhere, because it was on an old phone. I think we still have it. But even better was we got a real picture. Like, Karen has it. Someone took it, and I don't know how she got it, but it's like her with Tom Cruise, just standing there amidst this huge group of people. And he could not have been friendlier or cooler or nicer. That's another thing that, because then everybody hates him and they think he's a fucking dumbass. And I don't care. I love him. Love him now. I love him so much, I wanted to buy lunch for the guy who looks like him. That's how much I fucking love Tom Cruise. And part of me wanted to get involved with the guy, like, because he was standing there trying to be unassuming and also just kind of taking pictures with whoever. But part of me wanted to be involved in it. Like, I wanted to go up to him and talk to him like I was in on it. Like, that's how much I love Tom Cruise. I wanted fake Tom Cruise to love me, because it would mean somehow, in some way, I was closer to Tom Cruise. So I wanted to run up to him and just start doing scenes like from movies and see if he would be like, but also still make it about him. Like, I was trying to think. It was like meeting a chick, and you try to think of an opening line. So I was trying to think of an opening line and to try to be cool and also use dialogue from the movie. So like, I wanted to go up to him and just like risky business, and just be like, sometimes you got to say what the fuck and just get a picture taken with the fake Tom Cruise. Like, I wanted to say that, but I know he would not be into it. He'd just be looking at me like I'm a fucking psychopath, or just because he's in the Top Gun suit. And maybe I could just be like, hey man, I feel the need for taking a picture with the fake Tom Cruise. And he'd just look at me like, and I'm sure he'd smile, because again, that's his job. He wants his $5 and his Polaroid or whatever the fuck, and I'm sure he'd just give me a thumbs up, and he'd be thinking I'm a dumbass, and I couldn't have fake Tom Cruise thinking I was a dumbass, right? I wanted to go up to him and have him, because then I wanted him to play along. Like, if I'm going to go up to him and I'm like, do you want answers? And if he'd go, I want the truth. And I'd go, you can't handle not taking a picture with the fake Tom Cruise. But that's not going to work. No, it's not. Because inevitably, you know what I would wind up doing? I would fucking run up to him and I would go, respect the cock. Respect the fake Tom Cruise cock from Magnolia. And at that point, I'm definitely not getting a picture, probably.
Very good, Kyle. Very good. All right, our next speaker is Timmy. Timmy, would you please come up here and give your show and tell presentation?
Okay, Mr. Lopez. For show and tell, I brought my dad's iPod. We listened to our favorite show, the 40-Year-Old Boy podcast. His name is Mike, and he talks super fast about stuff. One time, his friend Larry fought the police, and Mike was scared by a talking Dracula, and he ran. One time, Mike was in a store and a man who was poor came in and made number 2 on the floor. And then once, my dad and I are in the car and we listen to him with my dad's car who has an iPod vagina.
Whoa, Timmy, please.
Oh, I almost forgot. I got this shirt from the 40-year-old boy. It has his friend Lily. She hurt her foot jumping on a pole.
Okay.
She is a stripple.
All right.
Thank you. The end.
Okay, thank you, Timmy. We're going to stop now for now. Timmy, could you come with me? We're going to go for a little walk down the hall.
The 40-year-old boy, shaping young minds on the Mike Schmidt Podcasting Network. Let's talk, folks. Let's talk about the real world for a little bit. Because normally we don't here on this show. And unfortunately, I'm finding that not everything is Indians and midgets, folks. Sometimes you need to deal with real life. So let's do that right now. By let's, I mean I will, and you will sit there and listen. Or you won't. Perhaps you won't listen. Perhaps you're right now in your head you went, wait a minute, it's not all Indians and midgets? I'm out of here. Slam. Slamming your internet door behind you. Who can blame you, folks? I mean, earlier in the show, I was buying 4 cakes with random messages, and now I try to bring it down and talk real world. I was just talking to Lily about the Monday Night Tease show that she has, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I guess she's doing a Britney Spears tribute show at some point, and someone twittered about it. One of the strippers twittered about it to Britney Spears. Like, hey, Britney, we're doing a Monday Night Tease tribute to you. You should come out. And Lily's like, oh, my God, that's all I need. I'm like, why do you not want Britney Spears to show up? And she goes, because she's crazy. And I was like, I've been to your show. I see what you've had to deal with. I don't think Britney Spears is chief of your concerns at this point. Although I guess maybe adding that crazy to your crazy would be a real crazy. To what your circus that you put on there. Not just you, but I mean everybody that's involved. So that made me laugh, folks. So that's the real world stuff that Lily has to deal with. Do I want Britney Spears to come to my strip show? See, that's the thing I'm talking about, folks. I work in Graveyardville, as I've told you guys many times. It is it's an apartment building where there is a security detail, and that's me. Hi, me and another guy. We are the security type folks. And I think I've told you before. There've been shows. I dedicated like an entire show to telling you about the owner of the building. He's a little different. He's a fucking look. I'm sure he's a nice man, okay? But he's a fucking nuisance. He won't leave me alone. He continues, because I'm trapped in the office, folks. I'm there 8 hours. I can't stop. I can't leave. There's a tiny TV that gets certain channels, and I watch Kojak at night, and you guys know that about me, all right? That's it. That's who I am as a guy. I'm a Kojak watching security guard. That's my life. Unfortunately, my Kojak experience is being taken away from because the owner of the building is slowly losing his grip on reality and is very lonely. He's a lonely man. So he comes down to talk to me at all hours. He just won't stop. He just continues to come down and talk to me about all sorts of different things. And I told you he wanted to write comedy with me. And he was saying that he would write the jokes and I would just deliver them because he was very funny. And I knew what it was like to be funny. And so he would write the material and I would deliver it. And then he would tell me about, Bob Hope and Woody Allen. I think I've told you all of this, folks. Well, a couple of months ago, he was really starting to come down. And then I was there for 8 hours a night, and he would be spending 4 hours a night in the office with me. He'd be coming down for like an hour, and then he'd go upstairs, and then he'd come right back down, and then he would go upstairs. I think I told you this story. He came down, and there was a movie on PBS, and then he went upstairs, and then he called me to discuss the movie. He was watching it upstairs, and he told me to turn it on, and I had to watch it with him, and he had to talk about it like we were dating, folks. Like we were dating in high school. Late into the night, we would spend time on the phone with one another, watching the same television program. Awful. So I've mentioned to you that he has kind of his health is a little bit in question. He started to come downstairs, and I think I told you he made me write things down. He made me take notes about the election. And he would literally say, hey, I saved this for you. And he handed me a chart with Lou Dobbs and illegal immigrants. And like it was in parentheses. It was like in a word problem type equation. But it was all about how the world was changing and the world was ending. And it was numbers. And it was just, it was fucking not good. It was not good. I recognized it as not good. But I refused to pipe up. So it became a thing where I just started to I started to make it a contest amongst myself to not participate. Like, you know how rape victims will just tell you that they just gotta go away? They're there, but they're not present. Like they drift away in their brain. That's kind of what I would do. My body would be there, and then I would be floating up above it. I'd be looking down at myself, and I'd be going, oh, he's such a good soldier. I can't believe he's putting up with this. Because the guy would sit at the desk, and he would talk to me, and he would regale me with tales, and then tell me about when he was a youth, and then he'd want to talk about Humphrey Bogart, and oh my God, it would just be this fucking, and shit that I didn't want to talk about, man. He'd want to talk about the election, and so I got to the point where I made it a contest where I would not utter a sound when he came down. He would come downstairs and he would talk and he would just rampage. He would talk downhill and I would not acknowledge him. I tried not to blink, but because it used to be I would try to engage in conversation and then he would step all over me and then say whatever the fuck he was going to say. And I think I told you I made a joke once and he actually ran away. Like he split because it was the joke about, there was just a shark driving a forklift in this thing and he bailed. He was furious. So then I decided, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to say a fucking word. Not a word. So I wouldn't blink. I wouldn't say anything. I barely breathed when he'd come downstairs. You know who I was? You ever see the Tool video for prison sex? I was the little guy who would like lay down and completely leave his body when the big doll showed up. You ever see that? Go watch the video for prison sex because there's this scary, it's basically the song is about exactly what you think it's about. But it's also a metaphor. But in the video, there's these little clay dolls, and there's a tiny one, and it's kept in a drawer. And whenever the big one takes it out, it like strokes its hair. It basically owns it. It's a creepy video, but when you see it, that's who I am. If you watch it, there's the big oppressive doll who keeps this other little doll chained up, and then it takes it up and it strokes its hair and it holds onto it. But the little doll, whenever the big doll tries to play with it, it just disappears. It like goes limp. It completely goes limp and just lets it, whatever's going to happen. That's me. I'm the little doll from the Tool video. Like in the prison sex video, there's two. I'm the little one who just kind of goes limp because he would show up and he would pull me out of my drawer and he would play with me and I would just sit there and just drop my head and just whatever you're gonna do it, and then go upstairs and leave me the fuck alone. So when he wasn't bothering me in the middle of the night, he started to walk the grounds. He would walk through the hallways of the building. Because I told you to stay awake, I would, I go up sometimes and I deliver the newspapers in the morning, but also I would go do a check of the exits, and it was part of the security thing that I invented for myself, so I didn't go crazy. I didn't want to just sit in the fucking office, so I turned it into a fucking Beretta mission. I grabbed a cockatoo and I threw it on my shoulder and I would walk through the fucking hallways. And that building was fucking safe, and you can take that to the bank. So I would walk through, and inevitably I would, because there were windows, like you could see through the windows and look out at the courtyard and stuff. And I would look through, and he was like a wraith. Like I would see him float by a window because he was walking the hallways in his unsleep state. And I should tell you, he never slept. Okay, he never sleeps. He comes downstairs and he talks to me and he bothers me, and then he goes upstairs and then he calls me, and he just doesn't sleep. And I don't even think he sleeps during the day because he has to take care of the building. Well, not only does he not sleep, but now he's starting to not eat. Did I tell the story on here about the speech he gave me about bananas? I had a banana on my desk, and I was eating a banana. I think I told you guys this story. And he came down and he started to tell me how bad bananas are for you. You shouldn't eat bananas. And I said, bananas are a superfood. Because I apparently wanted to have that conversation. Shut the fuck up. I just said that I went away. I'm the Tool doll who would just, rape me. I'm fine. I leave my body. But bananas is where that's my line in the sand? Why? I don't know, but it was. I'm like, bananas are a superfood. They're like blueberries and almonds. They're good for you. And he would then tell me this whole fucking thing that he had about why bananas are not good for you and you shouldn't eat them and it taxes your liver. And then, folks, I think I may have told you this. I may not have, okay? But he went this far. He told me the bananas are bad for you. And he started to tell me how he would cook. Because he was waiting on he had some problems with his body. I won't get into it, but I told you I had to take him to the hospital for it. But also, he stopped eating. He stopped sleeping and he stopped eating. And what he would do is he would go buy a cup of chili from this restaurant and he would thin it out with water and he would eat that over the course of a week. Like a cup of watered down chili he would eat, and he would spice it up. And he was telling me all these spices he had, and he wanted to show me how to cook, and he invited me up to his house. I'm like, dude, no thanks. No. So he starts telling me I shouldn't eat things because it taxes your liver. He comes downstairs one day and he starts telling me about how bad water is for you. Did I talk about this on here? I may have. And he starts telling me that you shouldn't drink water because it taxes your liver. And look, I already defended bananas. I'm not about to let water get maligned on my watch either. So I said, I'm like, hey, Roger, we'll call him Roger. So Roger, you can't not drink water. You have to drink something. You're already putting it in your chili. It's fine. He goes, well, yeah, really, like a couple drops a day is fine. He goes, and I should tell you, I could see that he wasn't drinking water and he wasn't eating because he was almost skeletal, like in his face and his neck. And also he had white stuff crusted in his lips because he was constantly dehydrated because he wasn't drinking fucking water. So he's not sleeping, he's not eating, he's not drinking water. All he does is he makes thinned out chili and he talks to me. That's his whole existence as far as I know. So he comes downstairs. This is a month ago, 6 weeks ago. And he starts telling me the story of a tenant in the building and how they made a request of him because there was a request. You can request things through him. There's a box, like a suggestion box, where you drop your rent checks, but also, hey, I'm going to be out of town. Can you collect my mail? All that bullshit. Well, someone requested, they have an apartment that's empty that Roger would, during the holidays, people who lived in the building could rent it and let their families stay. It was a, first come, first serve type of thing. But he also would have like a Christmas party in there and he would cook and it was a whole big deal. So someone in the building requested that they be able to use that apartment. So he comes to me and he's got the note in his hand. And like I said, he would come to me and he would talk and he would get worked up. All right. And he would get a little crazy and he would start raising his voice a little bit, but nothing exasperating. But he would start kind of yelling and he might hit the desk with his fist. He might be getting worked up, but it was always about stuff like baseball or Bob Hope or nonsense. And then he'd start talking about the election and he'd start talking about how the country was going to hell and how eventually the people with the guns were going to win. So he wanted to make sure that I should make sure I'd have plenty of guns because the people with the guns are going to be running everything pretty soon. And he would tell me those things, and I'd be like, that's hilarious. And then I would go back to going away and going limp so he could do whatever the fuck he wanted to me and then leave me alone. Because, again, I'm the doll from the Tool video. So he comes down with this note. And these people had requested using the apartment, and they wanted to use it for the holidays, not just for a couple weeks. They had some family member who was coming to town for 3 weeks or a month, and they wanted to use it over New Year's and Christmas. So he comes in and he looks at me and he goes, Mike, what the fuck is wrong with people? And this is a lot different from the guy who wanted to do comedy with me. So I can see him be aggressive. And I should tell you this, before, I've worked on and off there for like 9 years. And this guy used to be like a big dude. He used to weigh like 300 pounds, and he was a drinker, and he was a real gregarious guy. He likes race cars and golf. He was a man's man. Well, now he's become this kind of shell of himself, but he's still got that, mentality trapped inside there a little bit. And I hadn't seen him be booming or loud really in a long time. So he comes in and he's like, what the fuck is wrong with people? And I go, I don't know. What do you mean? And he throws the note at me, like throws it. And it lands on the desk. And he goes, read that. So I picked it up and I started to read it. And he goes, out loud. So, and look, I'm not good at taking orders, folks. But again, I just go limp and he's going to do whatever he wants to do to me. Because I'm the doll in the Tool video. So, and I'm trapped there. I can't fucking do this because I'm white knuckling this job at this point because I have to have it. I believe me, I've been looking for other jobs because A, I don't want to work there my whole life, and B, I can see writing on a wall when it's there. So I've been looking. So he comes in and he's out loud. So I read it and it says, hey, Roger, we were wondering if we could possibly have some family members who stayed in apartment 123 over the holidays. We would need it for New Year's. And so I read the note out loud and I put it down and he goes, what the fuck is wrong with those people? And I go, I don't know what you mean. And he goes, what do I do every fucking year, Mike? What do I do every year in this fucking building, Mike? Now, by the way, it's 5:30 in the morning. And as loud as I'm being, imagine if I was using like as loudly as I could. Imagine that being said as loudly as you could possibly say it. And I go, but I knew, you know what's funny? I knew exactly what he was driving at. So I go, you have the Christmas party. The fucking Christmas party, Mike. These assholes, these fucking assholes who've never come to the fucking party where I cook and I reach out to people and I take care of these tenants because you know what? I want us to be a fucking family, Mike. And he's screaming at me. And I'm behind the desk, and I'm not good at even talking to fucking Roger. I don't want that. But now I'm getting screamed at, and again, so I just go limp. I'm gone. I'm tooled out. Fuck it. I'm gone. And he's screaming, and he starts yelling about them and how they're fucking ignorant and they're wrong and they don't come to the fucking Christmas party. And you know what, Mike? I'll tell you what. I should just take my gun and shoot them both in the fucking face. I should fucking go up there because you know what? They think they run that side of the building, that they're getting over on me. They think they're fucking sneaking things past me. I know what they fucking do up there. I know what everybody's doing in this fucking building. They think that I don't, but I'm sick, but I fucking know. And I should just fucking go in their apartment and fucking shoot them both right in the fucking face. And that seems a bit harsh to me. Because I don't know if he would not do it or would. I don't know. I got no fucking idea. But this is who he is at this point. And he's said to me before that the people with the guns are the ones who are going to win. He lives, I should say, his apartment's on the 3rd floor, right by the elevator. He goes, you know what, Mike? I'm just going to one day just fucking keep my door open and just sit there with my fucking gun loaded. And when the elevator opens, I'll just start fucking shooting whoever gets off the elevator. And I thought he was kidding when he said it. Doesn't sound funny, but it's something. I mean, I didn't ever think. But then when he started telling me he's going to start unloading in people's faces in the building because they requested to use an apartment, it was hairy. I mean, and I felt a little fucking weirded out by it because, and again, it's 6 a.m. He's screaming. I'm going to fucking shoot him in the fucking face. He's yelling it, and you can hear it echoing through the fucking parking garage. So I got a little freaked out. I won't lie. And I'm like, I'm sure they didn't mean anything. But now I'm trying to defend them, even though I don't care. Go shoot them in the face. I don't fucking care. Honestly, if it gets me out of this conversation, yeah, go ahead. Go shoot them in the face. I think you should do it. That's how selfish a person I am. I don't fucking care. Just leave me alone. But I actually try to start defending them. I'm like, I don't think they meant that. Fuck it. Don't say that, Mike. They know they've been in for years. I should fucking shoot them both in the fucking face. I don't know what. And then he starts talking about them and what they do. And then he starts telling me about rent and who pays and who doesn't. And he starts freaking out about tenants and how the whole building, nobody respects him. And he just goes off. And this is crazy. And I'm just standing there taking it because what the fuck else can I want to leave. I want to run away, but unfortunately I need the fucking job. So I let him talk himself out, and which is fine, and he did, and that's that. And I get in the car and I leave. I go home, and I see Karen, and I tell her, I go, listen, and I don't know if I apologize. I'm treading on already trod upon ground here. I think I've told you some of this stuff, but it's been a while. So I told Karen that about what was going on, and I had been telling her gradually about how Roger was slipping away. And how I didn't know what to do. And so this time I came home and I said, he came in and he starts freaking out. And he's yelling about shooting people in the face. And Karen wheels on me and she goes, then quit then. I went, what? She goes, then quit. All you do is you keep telling me about this and what's going on. So just quit. And so now I got to be the tool doll in my own house. I have to go limp, and then she's going to do whatever she wants to do, and then she goes away and goes to work, and then I can wake up and be me again. But gradually, I have to be honest. I understand what she was doing. You know what I mean? It was kind of like trying to kick me in the ass and say, "Get a move on," but also she's tired of hearing it, and because I do the same thing to her when she would come home and talk about her office or whoever, and I go, "Well, you got to do something about that. You can't just sit there." So I understood it. I was pissed, but I understood it. So I work Saturdays through Tuesdays at Graveyardville. So I go into work. This is a while ago, a month, 6 weeks, like I said. And he keeps coming downstairs. He keeps bothering me. And then finally on Tuesday night, I get to work and he's waiting for me. He had been walking the neighborhood. And so when I walked in, he saw me pull up and he came right into the office and he hung out for like 2.5 hours. And then he went upstairs and then he called me. And like I said, I told you he would walk the apartments. He would also walk through the parking garage. Like I'd hear him shuffling and he set off his own car alarm one time. And I'm like, are you okay? I'm fine. And he would walk the neighborhood in the middle of the night. He was restless and he never slept. So he was waiting for me, killed like 2.5 hours with me, went upstairs, called me, came back downstairs. So then about 4:30 in the morning, he comes downstairs. And also he's barefoot when he's walking around everywhere. He's wearing shorts and this baggy t-shirt and a hat. And he just doesn't look well. So he comes downstairs and he'd been doing this for a few weeks where he was having problems with his legs. And it was some sort of physical ailment. And he had been told he had to elevate his legs and that was fine. And so he comes downstairs and he starts telling me about his legs and his feet and the problems he's having with his legs and his feet. Oh, I should tell you this too, by the way. Like I said, I work Saturday through Tuesday. Well, the previous like Friday or Thursday or Friday, I had gone to pick up a check at the office. And I pulled in to the garage and there was a loud noise. It was 5 a.m. And I pulled in and the other guy who works there, who works the other 3 nights that I don't work there, he also does handyman work for them in the building. He's worked there 17 years, this guy. Well, I pull in at 5 a.m. and Roger has him in the parking garage with a power saw, building like a sign, like sawing wood and built and fucking like the weirdest. He's got a sawhorse and a power saw. It's like zzz, like the crazy. It's 5 a.m. And I pull in and I look and I shouldn't even started this bit because you can't see my face. But the guy my other guy who works security, he's holding the power saw and I pull in and I look out the window and he just looks up at me with this face like, what the fuck is going on? This like horrible save me, I don't know what's happening face. And I think I told you that, Roger wanted me to go and build a sign, like, and he kept telling me to do this stuff and he wanted me to dig holes. And I was like, I got to get the fuck out of here. I can't do that shit. Well, now he's got this, I don't want to say his name. Fuck. Tim. He's got Tim in the middle of the night building shit. So I pull up and Roger's just like, hey, how's it going there, Mike? And I see Tim, he's holding the power saw. And he's honestly, that little flash of malevolence went through his eyes where he's like, I could bury this power saw right in his fucking neck and we could both run out of here, right? We could do that. He was just happy to have a break. But he's just making him saw wood. Like they weren't even building anything. He's making him saw wood. Because I checked with Tim later. He's like, yeah, he just wanted to saw this stuff. He wanted to build a sign, but he knew he couldn't build a sign, so he just wanted to saw this stuff. And I said to him, it's 5 a.m. People will see him. And he goes, fuck them. I don't fucking care. What are they going to do? Complain? I own the building. Like that attitude. So, and it's funny, I stopped to get my check, and at that point, I didn't even know that Tim was having to deal with this. I thought I was the only one who had to deal with it. I didn't realize that Tim also, during the nights he's there, has Roger coming downstairs and hanging out and talking to him and doing all this shit. I had no clue. So I grabbed my check, I left. Then I came in, like I said, the following Tuesday, he comes in, he starts telling me about his legs and the pain he's in and all this, and he wants me to look at his legs. And he has... I told you, he's got like bad skin and he's been sick. So he wants me to look at, and even worse than that, folks, he wants me to look at his feet. He's like, oh, my feet are, in such pain and my legs are all swollen. And I won't look. Like, I tool doll. I just I slump into the chair and I don't even look. I don't blink. I don't breathe. And he actually put his feet up on the desk, like his bare feet. Because again, he's only like 10 years older than me, which I don't even understand how 10 years could make that big of a difference. But there's that generation of men who just they're willing to fart right in front of you and they just laugh or they don't care. Or they, and I guess maybe that's just men. Maybe I'm not a man. Maybe I'm more of a girl. I don't know. But guys who don't mind being naked or scratching their balls in front of you, or they're just like, hey, look at my foot, or look at this boil, or look at my sore. And I'm like, fuck, I want nothing to do with that. Nothing at all. I should be in denim cutoffs and a never nude like fucking David Cross in Arrested Development. Honestly, I want nothing to do with it. So he puts the feet on the desk, and he's like pulling his, like, he's just trying to show me stuff, and I won't even look. I'm 1,000 yards staring into the parking garage, just past the legs, past the feet, past the bane of my existence, and then the feet are on the desk. Like I said, they're inches from my laptop and my hard drive. So I immediately, I almost dove onto the desk to scramble and grab my shit and pull it off of there. And he's like, hey, look at this and look at that. And I won't look. I would not look, folks. My head was certainly in that area, but my eyes were completely. It's a trick I learned when I would see bad comedy. I'm not even kidding. When I would go to a room and I'd be waiting to go on stage and a comedian would be bombing or it'd be terrible, I would cross my eyes to that point where it's just blurry. Like I'd still be present and you could see me and I'm sitting right there and I'd have a grin plastered on my face, but I would cross my eyes to the point where it was blurry and I could not see what was happening. I would just, so nothing in front of me was making any sense. I could hear it, audio wise, but I would not see it. So sure enough, he put his feet up on the desk and I did it. I kind of went blurry and I tool dialed and I slumped and I leaned backwards and I just looked into the fucking distance. And he's showing me the sores and he's talking about this and why it hurts and what's going on. And I'm just like, oh. So he finally leaves me alone at 5:45, and I get ready to bail. I want to leave early, but that's the thing. I wanted to leave early, but I didn't want to cost myself money. Like I needed every goddamn dime. It's a terrible. There's no worse situation than not being able to get out of a bad situation. Any relationship, any marriage. If you're stuck, it's just so frustrating. It's like like when I lived with. When I was staying at Kathy's and my stuff was in her house and I just wanted to leave and she was going to set it on fire eventually and I just wanted to go. It was like, just let me go. I just want to go. But you can't leave your stuff. You can't. And that's why it's funny. When I was a kid, 18 to 20, like I wanted to have as little stuff as possible. Like I wanted no possessions because I wanted to be able to just fucking leave the second anything bad happened. I wanted to just disappear. And the freedom of that is a real luxury. And I'll tell you, when you've lived like that, and then you grow up and you don't live like that anymore, and a situation arises where you wish you could, it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating to not be able to just disappear. Like I did. I wanted to just take off. I wanted to go, fuck you, but I can't, man. And it's my fault. Fucking Visa and MasterCard and everybody have made me what I am today, and I have to sit there and do it. So I'm 1,000 yards staring past his feet, and he finally leaves. And at 6 o'clock, I wanted to leave early, but I finally waited, and I was hoping the elevator. I got to the point where I would dread hearing the elevator because I knew it was going up to the third floor to get him and bring him down. And again, as I've told you before in other shows, I'm sure he's a nice man. He's just, and he was good to me. I mean, he would give me Christmas bonuses. He would give me baseball tickets. He would say, hey, you want to go get something to eat? And he always paid. He was just a friendly man. But unfortunately, he got sick and things changed. So I leave that day on Tuesday night. I do the podcast and a few days go by. I go to work Saturday and I walk in and there's a woman sitting in the lobby of the apartment building. And she doesn't say anything to me. She's a blonde woman that I don't recognize, so she's probably just waiting to pick somebody up. So I get in, I open the office, I plug in the television, I check the doors to make sure they're locked, and the elevator opens. And two girls get off the elevator, and they are dressed really provocatively, I will say, as an old man. They're just like hoochies. I mean, they got fucking big lucite heels and like really short skirts, and I don't recognize them either. Like I haven't seen them. I'm like, and I go, ladies, and they're like, hi, and they're giggling, and I'm like, do you want me to walk you to your car or your bed, wherever you're going? And they laugh and they know and they leave. So I set up the office and I go sit down, and the woman who was in the this is like a middle-aged woman. She stands up and she walks into the office and she goes, do those girls live here? And I said, I don't know. I haven't seen them. She goes, so you don't think they live here? I said, I don't know. Do you live here? Because I don't know who the fuck you are asking me for answers. And she goes, oh, hi, I'm Bonnie. And I go, hi, Bonnie. So I figure she just moved in, and she walks up and she shakes my hand. She goes, I'm Roger's sister. I go, oh, hey, how are you? Because I knew he's got a couple of sisters. He's got a big family. And I had heard of his sisters. I know one of his sisters was really sick, you know, kind of like what he had. And then he has another couple of sisters. Like I said, a lot of kids. She goes, I'm Roger's sister. And I go, hey, how are you? And she goes, good. She goes, are you Mike? I said, yeah. She goes, all right, I want to check in with you because I'm going to be here taking care of the building for a while. So I just want to make sure that I touch base with you and find out what time you come in. And I said, well, I'm here at 10. I go, what's up with Roger? Is he okay? And she goes, Roger's in the hospital. So I'm going to be here for a couple of days and I'm going to be taking care of everything. I just want to make sure that I'm staying up here in this apartment and I want to give you my cell number. And so you know who to call. And she's being kind of vague. And I said, okay. I said, is it his legs? I go, man, he was having real problems with his legs. So is it something with that? And she goes, Roger's in the hospital. And I just, so I'm telling you now that I will be here handling the building. I might have some questions for you. And so and also there's some stuff that I think I kind of need to have fixed. So I might come down and talk to you about that. And I went, well, that's probably not going to work because I don't fix anything at all. I said, I'll do whatever, but I don't have any skills like that. I'm not a man. And she's, which again, stupid me. I think I'm talking to people who understand me, but she kind of made a weird face. I go, well, no, I don't do any of that work here. She goes, oh, well, I thought you and Tim took care of that. I go, well, no, Tim does, but I don't. I go, Roger's asked me to do some stuff before, but I don't. It's not my thing. I'm not real good at it. I said, I kind of do this, the desk, and I take care of, make sure everything's safe. She goes, okay. She goes, well, yeah, Roger, there's a lot of things in here that kind of might need to be fixed. So I'm going to be here for a couple of days and I don't know really how long. And I said, well, when's Roger get out of the hospital? She goes, I don't know. Right now, Roger's in the hospital and that's just kind of the way it is. And so I said, well, are you okay? I go, do you want to talk about this? Like you seem like there's something you want to discuss with me. And she goes, no. She goes, I just want to make sure that you understand that I'm going to be here and I'm kind of running things here now. And I go, well, that sounds final. I said, so now do you live here now? She goes, no. She goes, I don't want to live here. I live down somewhere else, but I'm going to be here taking care of things for a few days or a month. And I went, a month is a real leap from a few days. So I was just like, all right. I go, is Roger okay? She goes, well, I should ask you that. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she goes, well, he's in the hospital. And, I was talking to some of the tenants here and, they heard he's in the hospital. And, some of them used the phrase that they thought he was becoming unglued. And I went, Bonnie, you should probably sit down. She goes, oh, okay. And so she sat down. And I said, listen, Roger never sleeps. I go, I don't even think he eats. And I don't think he drinks water either. And I explained to her told her all about superfoods. And I told her about water. And I told her about him being down in the room with me for fucking 6 hours at night. And how the other times he would be walking the hallway. I spilled my guts, basically. I said, I'm only telling you this because I don't know what he's in the hospital for, but you might want to tell them these things because, he's been acting very strangely for months. I said, and also he lost his temper and said he was going to shoot some people in the face the other day. She's like, yeah, I'm hearing that from a lot of tenants. And I'm like, okay. She goes, so yeah, no, he's in the hospital and I'm going to be here for the next month. And I said, now, are you healthy? Are you this other? And she goes, oh. She goes, no, that's our other sister. And I said, okay. I go, so you're just going to go up to your room? She goes, well, no. She goes, I'll tell you, and she starts to tell me a story about her other sister. And she says, it's a funny family story that we have about my sister. She really liked the baseball player Wally Moon. And so when she was growing up, Wally Moon was a guy who would hit home runs all the time. And they were called moonshots. So they would call them moonshots because of Wally Moon. And so my family loved baseball and we'd be loving the Dodgers and we'd be home watching the Dodgers and talking. And she starts telling me the story and she's sitting there. And in my head, I'm just like, holy shit. Bonnie is Roger with a wig on. What the fuck? Get out of my office. He's in the hospital. I'm free. My heart sings. I don't have to tool doll for anybody anymore. But now you're here, and I gotta go limp. It's like, you know what it was? I was in prison, and the guy who was raping me got paroled, and now my new cellmate was bigger and meaner. What the fuck? I had just gotten away from Rapeville. Now I gotta get another condo here? Get the fuck out of here. Go to your new apartment. Leave me alone. So she starts telling me about moonshots, and she tells this story, and I gotta tell it. I have to tell this fucking story. Her sister loves Wally Moon, and so they get tickets to go to a baseball game in the Coliseum. This is how old the story is or whatever, and to see the Dodgers. And they sit out in the left field bleachers, and Wally Moon hits a home run, a moonshot, and they're out there, and there's like a huge thing, and the sister was like all excited, and the ball came down and hit her sister square on the head. And her sister was like injured and fell down, and they had to take care of her. They're in the stadium, and she's telling me this story, and I'm just like, and I'm limp. Again, I'm limp, 1,000-yard stare. I'm just tool dolled out, getting raped verbally again by a Wally Moon moonshot story. What the fuck? And it's just one of those stories where I'm like, this is not true, or if it is true, it's great. And so then she goes, and then years later, my sister got sick, and she was in a hospital, and it turned out that in that town, Wally Moon lived in that town, and he put out his autobiography called Moonshots or whatever, and Roger found out that he was in that town, and he arranged for Wally Moon to come to the hospital and visit his sister. And then she told him the story about getting hit in the head by his home run, and he signed a book for her, and she's going on, and I'm like, oh, that's a sweet story, and it's awesome. If it wasn't for the fact that I still have fucking Stockholm syndrome from your fucking brother holding me hostage forever. So now I'm like, because I have to feign interest in this story, and it's like, because it's an amazing story, but I don't even want to look like it was an amazing story, because then she's going to think that I'm into it, and I don't want her visiting me now with a story about all these 60s baseball players. Oh, Bob Gibson was known as, oh, get out of my office. I know you own it, but leave me alone. So she fucking finally, after like an hour, she gets up and she's like, so I'm just letting you know that I'm going to be here and I'm going to be taking care of business. And I said, okay. And she goes, so what I need from you now is I need you to go out to the dumpster, and I need you to take care of all the garbage that's out there, because it's like you can see that it's overflowing. Somebody moved out. She goes, do me a favor, climb in the dumpster and stomp it down so then it's not like leaking out of the dumpster, because it doesn't look good. And in my head, I'm just like, oh, that's never happening ever. I'm climbing into a dumpster for you. Are you fucking joking? Again, I'm the security idiot. That's it. I sit in this building right here in this office, and I make sure nobody takes anything. I'm not a goddamn janitor. But instead I went, okay. And she got in the elevator and went upstairs, and literally I opened the dumpster and I like moved three things around with my hand, and I closed it because I didn't want to fucking deal with it. And then I went to my office, and the only good thing was I had this sense of relief, this palpable sense of relief, knowing that Roger was not going to be coming down to visit me and bothering me, because I dreaded every minute that this would happen. So I'm like, all right, Graveyardville is peaceful, and I can live my life. So that morning, I'm there. She gets up at 5:30 in the morning, comes downstairs to visit me. And then she starts talking about possibly having me work on some light fixture that is in an apartment. And I go, again, I'm not that guy. I go, I'll do what I can while I'm here. I go, but I don't know how to fix anything at all. She's like, okay, well, we'll have to figure that out. And she goes, do me a favor. She goes, I need you to get in the dumpster and fix this garbage, because it's all, like, she forgot completely that she had already told me, or she was just being nice and not yelling at me. But I said, okay, no problem. And then I didn't do it, because I'm not doing that. I'm not a janitor. I told you I quit a job once because a guy wanted me to clean a bathroom that somebody had fucked up. I don't care. So days go by. I'm sorry, that Sunday goes by, I should say. And then Monday, I come to work. And Bonnie comes downstairs, and she's. By the way, I should tell you this. Roger, in his demise, half the building was not rented. It seemed like there were probably 13 or 14 vacancies in the building. And I because again, if you came to look at a building, and a barefoot skeleton was talking about shooting somebody in the face. Would you rent from that building? No, you wouldn't. You would not. particularly when he would bring you into the office, or I'm sorry, bring you into the apartment itself, and you would see that it has not been cleaned or repaired from the last person who moved out. And he just assures you, oh, well, if you take the apartment, we'll go ahead and we'll take care of it. Because I found out that he was doing that. Like, he wasn't, people would move out and he would not paint or fix anything. He would just let it be as is and then show it like that. And then if someone rented it, he would then go in and fix it. Because the reason I found out about this is because Bonnie had a sheet. Like, every time I'd come into work, she was actually working in the building. So I would come in and she would have a list of apartments and the repairs and things that they needed. There was like light fixtures broken and mold in an apartment and all these different things that needed to be fixed. And so then there was somebody who was moving in and the apartment wasn't going to be ready. So she tried to talk them into taking a different apartment. It was all fucked up. The whole thing, because again, he was busy thinning out chili and watching movies all night with me. So he didn't give a shit about the building. He did, but I think he was incapable of doing anything about it. So I come to work on Monday, after I said I've seen the sheets of paper and all the disrepair and all this stuff. And she was really, she certainly stepped to the task. So I'm sitting there and a tenant that I know pulls up while I'm sitting at the desk and she rolls her window down. She had told me a previous story, which I don't know if I've told you guys this story or not. If I did, I apologize. She had called to get a repair done in her apartment because there was a sink problem. And Roger, on the phone, started screaming at her and telling her, what did you do? What did you break this time? She's like, look, it's the sink. It needs to be fixed. And so he started screaming at her and telling her that her hair was too long and it was causing problems with the plumbing in the whole building. And that if she wanted to stay in the apartment, she needed to get a haircut or he was going to kick her out. She needed to cut her hair because it was a problem and it was causing, and so, this is where he was at as a guy. But I guess he was swearing and yelling and swearing and yelling. And then finally she said to him on the phone, why are you so mean? And he said, what? And she goes, why are you so mean to me? Listen to yourself. What are you saying to me? You're telling me that I have to cut my hair to live in my building? This is not my fault that the sink is plugged. And he profusely apologized and then came over and apologized and went to fix it. But, tenants, I should tell you this too. All right, fuck it. Who cares? The gloves are off. Okay. In this building, nothing was getting done. It's nothing has been fixed. I had people come to me at nighttime, okay, at like 10 or 11 at night. Old people who lived in the building would come to me and ask me if I could come upstairs and fix their sink. And I'd be like, dude, I don't know. I get no fucking clue. There was a woman who, she's a Korean lady and she's real nice. She loves Jesus and America too. So I go up to her house and she's like, hey, I need you to come up here. And I'm like, well, what is it? She's like, please come up. So I went up to her apartment and I walked. And also, by the way, she's like, I should tell you this. This is the weirdest thing. She's probably, 55. And she's a Korean woman who goes to church, sings in a choir, all that kind of stuff. And so you get to a certain point, I guess, when you're old where you don't really think of yourself as a sexual being. She came downstairs in a nightie, came downstairs to me in a nightie that I could see through and said, I need you to come upstairs. So I'm like, hold on a second. I like kimchi, but I don't know if I like it this late at night. But I didn't, I felt bad. So I went up to her apartment and what it was, her rug was soaking wet in the hallway by the air conditioning system. And she said she had told Roger about it and he told her that it was her fault and that she just needed to put towels on the ground and that would be fine. And she, and I could smell it when I walked in. It smelled like a wet, you ever go into a place, Arizona they have these, and I think Florida too. You know what a swamp cooler is? Where it uses water to cool off a house instead of air conditioning, and the rug, everything is moist. Well, that's what her house was like, man. And I was like, God damn. I go, look, I can't help you. I'm so sorry. I felt bad. Obviously she got undressed to entice me. Obviously that was the thing, but there was nothing I could do for her. But other people, there's a woman who didn't have hot water in her apartment for 4 months. In her sinks. She had it in her shower, but not in her sink. The weirdest thing. And then she kept complaining about it and putting notes in the box. And then he got really pissed off and he came in and he fixed it. But then she didn't have cold water for a month. And shit that again, if you own a building or you're a manager, I guess this shit makes sense to you. To me, that makes no sense. If you got water, you should have both, right? Don't you have, if you got salt, you got pepper, you got cold, you got hot. That's the way it should be. On the right-hand side, there's a lever that says cold. That should make cold water come out. What the fuck is wrong with you, sink? Jerk. But people would come down and ask me to fix things. Or, I told you, they smoke alarms, all sorts of shit. And I'd be like, look, I don't know, man. I can't help you. So this tenant, this woman who had the clog in her sink, she rolls down the window and she's like, did you hear about Roger? And I said, yeah. I go, he's in the hospital. She goes, yeah, he got arrested. And I went, what? And she goes, he's committed to the hospital.
Oh my God.
And I went, I'll follow you down to your parking spot. I'll be right there. I lock the office and she goes and parks. She gets out and she's like, did you hear? And I said, I did not hear anything. And she said, apparently Roger went out last week and he was driving and he got pulled over and he got out of the car and he started freaking out on the cops and yelling and screaming and talking about guns and lost his, and just started yelling. And the police told him he needed to calm down and he started to shake and freak out on the street. This is by UCLA, I guess, down in Westwood. And the cops arrested him and then committed him to a mental hospital.
Holy shit.
5150'd him for his own safety and the safety of others.
Oh shit.
So I said, where did you hear this? She goes, well, it's kind of floating around the building. Like, people know, but, nobody's really sure. No one's been confirmed, but someone heard it and it kind of, and I go, well, are you sure that this is, and she goes, no, I know it. It's just, she goes, I didn't see it happen, but I have it on pretty good authority that that's what happened. I said, so what then? I go, so where is he now? She goes, well, now he's in a hospital. He's in a mental hospital. And I said, well, it's funny, I met his sister and she told me he was in the hospital, but she didn't really come clean. And she said the tenants were saying he was unglued, and I told her the whole story, and she said that he was in a hospital. That's all she would tell me. She goes, well, he's in the hospital, but he didn't, it's not like he wanted to be in the hospital. So I said, well, fuck, what is that? I don't even know what that means. And she's like, well, I don't know. As far as I know, he was committed as a 5150 and he's under a 72-hour watch. I don't know if that means he's still there or he's not. I don't know. I said, all right. She goes, well, keep me posted if you hear anything. I said, well, you fucking do the same. I didn't hear a goddamn, tell me. If you hear anything, tell me. So I go back to the office and now I start to freak out a little bit. Cause I don't want to work there. All right. But I also don't want to be told that I don't work there anymore. Because I need the money, man. I mean, literally, if I could show you a balance sheet between what I make and what Karen makes and what my monthly nut is, there's like $5 left over. That's not even a joke. So I can't afford to lose this gig. So unless I have a backup gig, my own thing to do. So I'd redouble my efforts to start looking for a gig. Like, I go home that day and I tell Karen, and I go online and I'm surfing the web and I'm trying to, I'm applying for jobs on Craigslist and doing whatever I can. And also, like, there's also show business job places you can apply for writing jobs or, so I'm doing all of that, but at least I have this job hip pocketed and I can sort of not worry about it. So, I go into work the next day and Bonnie's there. And she's telling me about the work they're doing in the apartment, and I might see somebody who's there, and she's there working, and da-da-da. And I said, okay. I said, have you heard from, because again, I'm not betraying anything that I know. I go, have you heard from Roger? How's he doing in the hospital? She goes, he's okay, as far as I know. She goes, last time I talked to him, I guess he was good. I said, all right. I go, is there any idea on when he's coming back here? And she goes, I don't think he's ever coming back to the building. And I went, what? And she goes, yeah. She goes, I'm just telling you that. I don't know. She goes, right now it's all up in the air. I go, well, is he okay? Like, she goes, I don't know. I don't want to talk about it. Right now, Roger's in the hospital, and that's what I can say. I said, all right. So, like I said, I start to redouble my efforts and look for a gig. This was the week of the LA Podcast Festival, by the way. All this shit hit the fan. So 3 days go by, and I start going to the festival and hanging out. I go there Friday, I go there Saturday. My show is Sunday. So Sunday, I'm at the actual hotel waiting for my show. About an hour before, my phone rings, and it's a number I don't recognize, so I don't grab it. It goes to voicemail. And it's Joel from a management company telling me that they're taking over the building. And he wants to touch base with me and find out what I do there. So I have to take this phone call. Because I had worked there Saturday night, and I had not seen Bonnie. Nobody had said a word to me. And then Sunday I went to go do my show, and that phone call comes. So I call the number right back, and I get Joel on the phone. And he starts telling me that they're from this management company. They're taking over the building, and he wants to find out what I do there. And I said, well, I work security. And he goes, well, what does that entail? I said, I'm overnight security to make sure that nobody breaks into the parking garage and takes anything, breaks into cars or, general mayhem. And he says, okay. He goes, well, what kind of uniform do you wear? And I said, I don't have a uniform. I wear my clothes. And he asks if I carry a gun. And I look, I want to be a smartass to this guy, but I'm so freaked out that I have a show in an hour that I can't possibly muster up the strength to fuck with this guy at all. So I'm just like, no, I don't carry a gun. I mean, I'm a civilian. He goes, well, do you have a guard card? Like, are you certified in the state of California? I said, no. I said, I've worked there on and off for 9 years. I said, I guard the building at night. I said, any disturbances that happen, I get involved. I call the police. I call the fire department. It's more of a security presence than it is a guy who's actively ready to pistol whip somebody. He's like, all right, well, we're going to have to get you a uniform, and we're going to have to figure out your guard card situation. I said, okay. And he goes, all right. And he goes, so we're taking over the building. I just want you to know that. You're going to go in there. You're going to see some changes. There'll be notices posted around. What do you make an hour? And I should tell you this, folks. I make a certain amount an hour. And then I had an arrangement with Roger where he would pay me for a certain, like Saturday nights I had to do a certain amount. Remember I told you, all right, fuck. Remember I had to do that fucking garbage stuff? I had to shovel shit and move and replace dumpsters and all that kind of thing. Well, I got extra pay on top of that. So I start to tell the guy that, and he's just like, well, I don't know what any of that means. That's your arrangement with him. That's fine. He goes, but I'm telling you, whatever you make an hour, and I'm just like, all right, here's what I make. And he goes, all right, well, we'll have to call and double check with the family who owns the building. I said, fine. I hang up the phone, and I'm just like, I can't even think about it. I got to do my show. So I go off, I do the show. Goes well. I go to work that night, and there's notices plastered all over the windows that this new management company has taken over, and they're bringing in new managers of the building. And there's these stickers all over the place on the windows of the office and on the windows facing out to the street that say equal opportunity renter. I don't know what the fuck that means, but they're all over the place. And I should tell you this. When the woman whose hair clogged the drain, my friend, when she told me that Roger had been arrested, she mentioned one of the reasons that everybody knew what was going on is because they had to go into his house and take his guns. So his sister, Bonnie, and there's another guy in the building, a guy named Mike. And he's a real cool guy. I get along with him real well. But he's been in the building for like over 20 years. So they trusted him. And he's tight with cops, and he's a very authoritative figure. And he's a military guy and really, really nice man. And I guess the sister brought him in, and they went in, and they had to go into the apartment and take all of Bill's guns. And now Mike's got him in his safe. So that was how they knew, I guess, that he'd been arrested or whatever. So I come to work, and I see those stickers everywhere. And then I happen to see Mike. He comes in, and so I try to feel him out, and I'm like, hey, what do you know? So he tells me basically that Roger's in the hospital, and that, he knows that it was a 72-hour that he was committed. And I go, well, did he get pinched? And he's like, I don't know. I don't know anything about that. He goes, I know I talked to Bonnie, and he was placed in the hospital. He goes, but he's out now. I said, so, all right, so he's out of the hospital? And he goes, yeah. And I go, so where is he? And he goes, I don't know. He goes, I don't know if he went to see his family in this city or if he went to this out of state. I go, well, is he coming back here? And he goes, well, he lives here. Like all of his stuff is upstairs in his apartment. I go, all right, well, let me say this. I go, I talked to the sister, and she told me that he was never coming back to the building. She goes, that doesn't make any sense because, she told me that he was definitely going to come here because his stuff's here. He has to come here and get his stuff. I go, I heard you went in and took some of his stuff. He goes, yeah, I'm not too happy about that either. I go, yeah. And he goes, well, when he comes home, he's going to want it. I mean, and he's going to come to me and say, hey, that's my, what am I supposed to say? I can't tell him, no, it's his stuff, you know? But the thing is, if he was committed to a 72-hour thing, I think he's not allowed to have those guns. So will I have to call the cops? Is it going to be that thing? He goes, believe me, I don't want to be involved. Because she approached me. I go, well, they have these new managers. I go, they called me about my uniform and all this bullshit. And I tried to tell them about the money that I'm owed, and they didn't want to hear it. He goes, yeah. He goes, they asked me if I would manage the building. I said, really? He goes, yeah, she reached out to me, and I believe me. He goes, I don't want anything to do with it. I said, he goes, also, you see these stickers here? And I go, yeah, what is that? And the management company, because again, like I said, almost a third of the building, maybe a little more than that, is unrented. Well, they want to fill the apartments. So they're going to do Section 8 housing.
Oh, awesome.
And I said, really? And I guess, Mike's, his wife is on the board of the city, and so they have to get it approved through them. And I guess they went and applied really quickly, and they did that week to get it approved, and it got approved. And nobody in the building, I guess, was happy about it, because that I found out, it's funny, then I told Karen about it later, and she told me that when I moved into my apartment building, that was Section 8 housing when I first moved there, because there was a family in a 3-bedroom apartment. There were 13 people living in a 3-bedroom apartment. And then Johnny Shuffles. Remember I told you guys about Johnny Shuffles? Karen told me Johnny Shuffles was in on Section 8 housing. Like, he was only paying $200 rent, and the government was paying the rest, which is fine. Whatever. I don't care. Whatever people need for assistance, that's fine. But I can tell you that this family-owned building that had promised security and promised all of this, everything was changing in days for these people, and they were confused and didn't know what the fuck to make of it. So it turns out, as I'm talking to Mike, and then another tenant drops by, people are taking the stickers off the windows. Tenants who live in the building are taking them down because they don't want people to see it. They don't want people to come in and start, if people want to apply to get a building, but they don't want to attract that element, whatever that means. Because there's a ton of old people. Like, there's people who've lived there like 30 years, and it's been a family-owned building that entire time. So now you give it over to a management company, and they don't care. They don't give a shit, all right? So let me put it this way. If they don't give a shit about the tenants, what do you think they're going to feel about me? So I talk to Mike a bit, and I tell him what's up, and he, we're cool with it. He leaves. So the next morning, I immediately call Bonnie. Anyway, hey, I got to talk to you. I go, I talked to this guy from the management company, Joel, and because I didn't call her on Sunday because I didn't want to bother her, so I waited till Monday because of business day. So I called her. I go, hey, this Joel guy called me from the building, and they said that they're taking over. So, I'm owed this certain amount of money, and I'm owed that. And she just goes, I have nothing to do with it. I said, well, I understand that. I said, but, he's taking over. She goes, yes, anything you want to talk to, you got to refer to them. I go, I understand that. But I had a thing, I deal with Roger where I got to talk to him. And if they're going to come to you guys to find out what I made, we need to figure out that my check matches. And she goes, I'm never coming back to that building. I have nothing to do with it.
Wow.
She goes, here's a phone number, write it down. And I did. And she goes, that's the number you need to call. I said, all right. So I called that number all day. No answer. I go to work that night. The office is changing a little more. Like, there's some office supplies in there, and there's more papers on the wall, and tenants start coming to me and start asking me questions. Who are these people? Do you know them? Have you ever? And I go, no, I haven't met them. So I talked to Joel on the phone, and they go, well, are you guys still going to be working here? And I said, yeah, nobody told us any different. I mean, he wants me to wear a uniform and stuff like that. I go, but that's fine. And these old people are, I help them with their groceries. I carry they know me. So they're like, all right, as long as you guys are fine and everything, we don't want that much change. And I go, I don't either. So I happen to see Mike, and I tell him, I go, hey, I called Bonnie, and she told me she's never coming back to the building, and I'm not supposed to talk to her. And he goes, she'll be here tomorrow. She just wanted me off the goddamn I go, really? And he goes, yeah. And I go, she told me she wasn't coming back. She told me, that Roger was never coming back. And he goes, I don't think any of that is true. I go, so she just doesn't want to deal with me on the phone? He goes, I guess. I don't know. He goes, I'll be honest with you, she's overwhelmed. Because she's dealing with family things, she's dealing with building things. Like, it all kind of came down on her, and she doesn't run the building for a reason. And I was like, all right, that makes sense. So he goes, well, if you want to come see her tomorrow, she'll be here. I said, okay. I said, but I need to find out about this money and, everything else. And he goes, yeah, I understand. I said, have you seen Roger? He goes, no, not yet. I said, okay. So the next day is Tuesday. And I call that number again. Oh, and I should tell you this, by the way. I ran the number by him. I go, she gave me this phone number. And he goes, did you talk to the person? And I go, no. And he goes, oh. And it turns out the number she gave me was for the 94-year-old mother of the family, the matriarch of the family. So basically, she gave me Queen Elizabeth's phone number to talk about my electric bill. Like, literally, it's that fucking small of a deal. And that's why, the reason that the phone is ringing off the hook is because she can't get over there. I picture, the tennis balls fell off her walker and she plummeted to the ground as she went to answer my 10th phone call. So I can't believe that number. Because I read it to Mike and he goes, yeah, that's that number. I go, well, fuck, I'm not going to call that person ever. That's stupid. So I finish work. I come in to talk to the other security guy, Tim. And I'm like, what do you know? He's like, here's what I know. And he tells me a bunch of stuff, and we have the same stories, and I have some information he does not have. So I tell him, and he's like, I don't know what's happening here. He goes, I've worked here 17 years as the handyman, and I worked at night. He goes, and I knew something was up with Roger because I would work during the week in the daytime with him because Tim has like 3 full-time jobs. Because he has a family and all that stuff. He works, well, not full time, but he works 3 nights of security with me. He works full time at a place of business, and then he does the handyman stuff. So he's like, I would make money doing that. He goes, but for the past like 2-3 months, I would call up and he would put me off and say he was tired, he wasn't up to it, he didn't want me to do it. So I couldn't come in and do any of that work. So that's why the apartments aren't getting done, is because Roger was telling Tim not to come in and help because he didn't want to do it. I mean, everything was falling apart. And also, I should tell you this, when I talked to Mike, he told me, he goes, yeah, I knew what was going on. He goes, I knew something was wrong. He goes, I actually talked to Roger and said, are you okay? Because he came to me one day with like just numbers. A code of numbers written down telling me what it had to do with the election and how it had to fit. So I wasn't the only one getting this. I thought I was, but I guess he was haranguing people in the hallways as well. And he was dropping, he goes, once he started with that beautiful mind stuff with the numbers, I knew there was going to be a problem. And I'm like, that's a great way to put it. That's exactly how I felt too. So I talked to Tim and he's like, yeah, I don't know what's going on. He goes, but I'm hoping that we still have jobs. And I go, well, I mean, we should, right? And I go, I don't know. I go, I've been looking for a job because honestly, dealing with Roger, I realized something was up. He goes, oh yeah, me too. And he goes, but I do the handyman stuff. And he goes, and I've been here 17 years, so I mean, I'm sure I'll get some discussion and I'll be able to sit down with the family at some point. I said, okay. I go, well, you keep me posted. I'll keep you posted. He said, that's fine. So, I go to leave and there's a paper on the door and it has the names of the new managers. They've already hired the new managers. They've moved in 3 days. They have a couple that now lives on premises and is managing the building. And everybody in the building can call them and it has this deal and good for them. But they're moving quick. So I come in to work on Saturday night and there's a big master lock on the office door. It's not locking the door itself, but it's hanging on the doorknob. So I let myself in, and in the office now there's a playpen, like a baby's playpen. And also on the floor underneath the desk, there's a BlackBerry phone on the ground. And in my head, I'm like, is this a trap? Like where they'll think I keep the BlackBerry? Like why else would there be a fucking phone underneath the desk? So I grabbed the phone, I put it on the desk. There's a playpen, and then there's all sorts of office supplies, and the whole thing's in disarray. And there's a note for me, and it's from Joel, and it says, hey, we need you to fill out this application. They want me to fill out an application for my own job. I pick up the application, and I'm not kidding you. It's got 20 pages. In addition to wanting all of my information, they want all of my employers back to 1990. In addition to wanting all of my personal information and the employers back to 1990, they want my thumbprints. They want to track my movements. They want to know what I've done. They want all of my online presence. They want every fucking possible. They want to run a credit check on me. They want everything, all the information. And I laugh. And I put it aside because I'm not fucking filling that out. Are you kidding me? So, my phone rings and it's Tim. And he's like, did you see that application? I'm like, yeah, I just walked in. He goes, yeah, they want me to fill it out too. And I go, that's crazy. He goes, yeah, I'm calling the family to see if I have to fill it out. He goes, because I don't know who we work for. Do we work for the family or do we work for the management company? He goes, right now we work for the family. He goes, if I fill out that fucking packet, I will then work for the management company, and then who knows what's going to happen. I said, well, all right, keep me posted. Let me know what the family says, because he hasn't into the family, because again, he's been there much longer than I have. So I hang up and I laugh and I put the fucking application to the side, and I don't fill it out. And I work. Everything seems to be fine. I keep the phone there. Tenants keep coming down and asking me questions. Do you know these people? Have you met these people? And apparently they hired the managers, like I said, on Wednesday, and they started knocking on doors that night and started, slipping things under doors. We live in this apartment. Come meet us. And it's a young girl, I guess, and her husband, and they have a baby. Now, I should tell you, Roger, he didn't rent to kids. Like, that was his thing, because it's a family building. He never wanted to have a lot of kids in the building. But now, again, they don't give a fuck. All right. This management company sees dollar signs, and not only do they not, I can't even imagine. So, I should tell you this when I get to work. Both of Roger's cars are there. So he's in the building. But he doesn't come down to visit me. But I can't imagine how weirded out he must be seeing the playpen in the fucking office. Because again, he wouldn't even rent to kids, and now the people who work there have a kid during the day in the office. So I look around, and they're cleaning out. We had a drawer. One of our office drawers was just filled with ketchup. Like, because we would go to McDonald's or to Subway or to In-N-Out or to Jack in the Box. So it was like a drawer of just condiments. And I opened the drawer, completely empty, gone. And now it's like pencils. And like, they're making it into a place of business, which is fine. Go ahead. I don't give a fuck as long as I still have my job. So the next day I get a phone call on my phone from Joel. And he tells me that I need to start leaving my keys overnight in the office. I can't take them home with me. And I said, why? He goes, well, we're working on a new key system. He goes, but there's a lock. You saw the master lock? And he goes, I said, yeah. He goes, write this down. He gives me the combination. And he goes, and what you do is at the end of the night, you open it and you put your key for the office in there overnight. And we're all going to, because he changed the locks on everything. He goes, and we're going to share the key between you and Tim. You guys will share your key, and then Janelle, the manager, will also have her key. And it didn't make any sense to me. I mean, why can't I just, it's 10 o'clock at night. Why can't I let myself in the building? But again, I don't give a shit. So he's like, did you fill out the application? I said, no. I said, I won't be. I said, I get paid through my company. He goes, what do you mean? I said, I'm an independent contractor. I get paid through my company. Here's that information. And he goes, all right, well, I'll need like a W-9 or whatever with your EIN number. And I said, fine, I'm happy to provide it. And I did. I brought it that night, and I left it on the desk. Now, I should tell you, this has been 2 weeks go by, all right? I start leaving the keys in the master lock, and there's a playpen. There's all this shit. All the tenants are coming down and complaining to me about the new guys and the new shit that they do. They have a handyman now who actually lives there, and he's fixing stuff. In 2 weeks, nobody's come to meet me. The manager of the building, the new managers, Joel, nobody, not one person has ever, I've only talked to Joel twice. Once the weekend when they took over, and once to give me the combination for that lock. So, I also don't know who's paying me at this point, because I haven't received a check. Because I had a time card, but it was for the other family. And then I said, well, who's paying me? And I actually, that day I talked to Joel. I said, who's paying me? You or them? He goes, we'll pay you. We'll have a check for you. And I said, great. I said, one of these days is kind of overlapping. And he's like, well, don't worry about it. It'll be fine. I get my check. They short me. So I have to call them and tell them they shorted me on the check. And to their credit, he goes, oh, I'm really sorry about that. We'll fix it. And they fixed it in a day. Like they hand delivered a check to me, which was fine. But time is going by. They're making more changes. I come into work and I go to unlock the lock and there's no key in the lock. So I'm locked out. I'm in the lobby. And so I grab my phone and I call the woman who runs the building now, and she doesn't answer. And I call her again and she doesn't answer. And then I go upstairs and I knock on her door. She doesn't answer. And then I pound on her door. And I realize she's got a baby, but I don't give a fuck. I'm not going to sit in the fucking lobby all night. So then I call the emergency numbers. And then I call Joel. And it's, now I got there at 10. Now it's 10:40 and I'm still in the lobby. So then my phone rings back and it's one of the guys from the emergency numbers. And he goes, hey, did you call here? And I said, yeah. He goes, you left a message about being locked out of the building? I said, yeah. And he goes, well, let me give you a tip. If you call at 10:30 at night, people are usually in bed. So you shouldn't leave a message and you shouldn't let the phone ring over and over. And I go, look, you're an emergency number. If you're an emergency number, I'm calling you. That's what I was told. He goes, well, I'm just telling you it's late. All right, it's 10:30 and most people are in bed. In my head, I'm like, nobody's in bed at fucking 10:30, Grandpa. Get the fuck up and get me in this goddamn. You want to kick in the door? I'll kick in the fucking door. I don't care. But I said, look, they left you as an emergency contact. If you don't want to be an emergency contact, maybe you shouldn't have your number on the sheet of paper. And he goes, well, I'm not trying to have a fight with you. I'm just telling you that you shouldn't call this late and then leave a message and then hang up. You should wait and call until somebody answers if I'm the emergency number. I go, if you don't want me to call and leave a message, then don't have a machine or a voicemail. Answer when I call. Because now I'm pissed. I'm standing there holding my lunch. So finally, 10 minutes goes by, and the woman who runs the building now comes downstairs. She's cute. She's probably like 25. She's wearing like sweatpants and a torn sweatshirt. They got her out of a dead sleep. And she comes downstairs. She introduces herself finally after 2 weeks, and then she lets me in the room. And I said, do I get a key? Do I not get a key? She goes, well, no, you can take this key, but leave it overnight. I said, fine. Next day, I come in, and there's a note with a key, and it says, this key is yours to keep. No shit, because I got somebody out of a dead fucking sleep to let me in. So time goes by, and I talk to, a couple days goes by, and I go in, talk to Tim, and I go, all right, what do you know? He goes, here's what I know. I talked to the family. And we talked for about an hour, and she asked me flat out, do you think we still need security at the building? And I told her, yes, you do, because it's in the leases. And once you started to turn the building over to this management company, every tenant came downstairs to make sure that I was staying. He goes, if that doesn't tell you something, I don't know what does. He goes, these people feel safe having us here, and it's unique. Certainly unique to this neighborhood and maybe even the city to have a guy. It's like New York having a doorman. You know that there's a guy down there who's a first line of defense. And these old people, it comforts them. So yeah, I think you should keep us. She goes, all right, well, we'll think about it and we'll let you know. And he hangs up and he tells me this. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. So we're in play? He goes, no. He goes, I told her that and she seemed to buy it and understood what I was saying. And he goes, I wasn't lying. I feel the same way. People come down and ask me all the time if we're staying. So he says, well, I'll wait to hear from her and we'll find out what's going on. He goes, but I'm not filling out this application. He goes, they've called again to see if I'll do it. I'm not. He goes, I have this job. I don't need to apply for it. He goes, I've been here 17 years and these people know me. I said, oh, I agree. I said, have you seen Roger? He goes, no, he hasn't come down. I said, okay. I said, well, I haven't seen him either. I probably won't see him. I go and Bonnie told me that she was never coming back to the building. He was never coming back to the building. So I think we're stuck with these guys. He goes, well, that's fine. He goes, until I know who I work for, I'm not going to worry about it. I said, okay. So I split. And he called me at home the next day, Tim, and he goes, hey, I talked to the family, and she told me that we were staying. And I said, what does that mean? He goes, that we have jobs. She's decided that security is definitely necessary in the building. She talked to me. She talked to some tenants, and we're here. She said that we work for them. Don't worry about that application. She goes, and we work for, we're definitely staying. She goes, she said that if that changed, we would have plenty of notice, but it's definitely not going to change. We're still working in the building. I said, great. That's all I wanted to hear. I didn't trust it. I work there and I'm still looking for another fucking gig. But unfortunately, I need that gig, so I have to stay there and take the money. But I will say, going in at night and not having to worry about getting bothered by Roger and working the job and everything seemed to be fine. And every time I'd come in, they had more shit and they were doing more repairs and all new tenants. Like I would see new people because they were really renting the fucking apartments. It was happening. Now a month has gone by and I'm working. I'm seeing tenants, like I said, new people. Older tenants are popping in, and they are all complaining and bitching because there's a notice that's been delivered to all the tenants telling them that they are now responsible for $10 each for a new key card system that is being implemented into the building. It will be a key card to get in the front door and a key card to get into the gate, the security gate, like a hotel where you get a card and you got to slide it and it lets you in. And it dawns on me that they're telling all the tenants about the key cards, but they didn't tell the security guards about the new key card system. And you would think you would want me to know about that. But nobody said anything. But the tenants are coming down and complaining to me about it because they can't believe that they're getting this $10 charge basically shoved up their ass. So they're telling me, well, we don't, and people are coming down and writing notes because then also they took down the, I mentioned there was a box where you could put your rent checks and also suggestions or whatever. They took that box down. So people, when I'm coming to work, people are taping things to the door of the office with notes of suggestion and what needs to be fixed, and they are repairing everything in the building as best they can. But like I said, they got handymen and all sorts of bullshit on duty. So they're doing this key card system, and the people are telling me that it's a drag. And I should tell you, I've been there a month now, and nobody has talked to me. I met the woman because she came down to live in the building, and I met her for 5 minutes, not even 2 minutes. I've never met Joel. We've still talked twice. I've been there. Now it's been a month since they took over. You don't come and introduce yourself. You don't say hi to me, bye to me, fuck you to me. Nothing. Seems weird. Especially when I've been part of the building on and off for 9 years, and Tim's been part of the building for 17 years. Not even on and off. He's worked there for 17 years. But that's fine as long as we, the family's cool with us. I don't give a shit. I come in, I do my job, I leave. So, I come. It's starting to get cold here too. I'll tell you this. This is just a side story. It's getting cold there, and there was the woman who used to work there, who ran the office. She had a heater, a space heater. I think I told you guys this. So I would just sit there and let the space heater blow in my face. So it was really cold a couple of weeks ago, and I went under the cabinet. I was trying to find the space heater. I didn't know where she kept it sometimes because she moved, and I'm like, oh my God, what if she fucking took it? So I went under the cabinet and I found it. It was pushed way in the back, and I pulled it out and I had it on. And then part of me in my brain went, I should take this because I don't know if they know that it's here. And, they had taken away our condiments, and they had kind of tidied up and moved a bunch of stuff, took all the pens, took everything out of the office. I'm like, well, fuck, if they take this heater, I'm going to be pissed. I go, well, you know what, though? Tim probably uses it. I can't do it. I'll talk to Tim about it. So it was a Tuesday night, and I used it, and I came back on Saturday, and it was gone. And I don't know if the woman who ran the building put it in her house or if Tim wised up and took it. I have no idea, but it was gone. So I'm like, I'm going to fucking freeze. And so what I did was I closed the door to the office because it kept me warmer. All right, because it kept out the chilling cold of because I used to leave it open so I could peer right into the parking garage. But I had to fucking close it because I was freezing. But I'll be honest with you folks, it made me a better detective. Because it made me more aware of what was going on. My ears, I think, got better. It was almost like, you know how blind people can hear better? Well, I was blind with the door closed. I couldn't hear what was going on in the garage, but I was able to hear everything that was going on around me. I was Daredevil is who I was. I fucking Matt Murdock by closing that door. So sure enough, it made me a better detective, made me a better person. And I would get up and I'd go out and look around. And I made sure I was more present in the situation, folks. Because you take your eyes away, you need to keep and rely on all the other senses. So I did that. And then Tim came in to visit me and he's like, what do you know? And I said, what do you know? And we talked and then he leaves. And then it dawns on me, I should have asked him about the fucking heater and I didn't because I'm stupid. You know what? Remember all that shit I said about being a better detective, folks? That's out the window now. Forget I even fucking said it. Doesn't make any sense. I had a lead. I had a lead right there to follow up on the great mystery space heater caper and I fucking let it slip through my fingers. God damn it, I'm a terrible detective. So he bails. I'm in the fucking room and just dealing with trying to stay warm. And it's funny, it's been a month now. It's over a month, and I still have only met the woman who runs the building now once, when she had to groggily, sleepily let me into a fucking building. I still haven't met Joel. How do you not fucking come and talk to me? I don't get it. And all I hear is the tenants bitching, and they're leaving mean notes, and they're coming down in front of me and writing mean notes and just putting them down. I hear about this key card system, and I recognize it's all falling apart. All right, I know it's all falling apart, but I don't give a shit as long as I can show up and do my job. I head home. I don't know if I told. Did I mention? I head home, and I get a voicemail on my phone, and I listen to it, and it just says, "Hey, Mike, it's Roger." And I froze. I know that sounds weird, but I mean, I haven't talked to him. I don't know anything about him. I know he's kind of there. He's this weird presence in the building because all of the tenants, as I said, they're bitching to me about the new people. And they're also telling me, man, I don't know how Roger puts up with it. I don't know how he comes down here and knows that this building was taken away from him and he still lives there. They were trying to figure out how he dealt with it. And so when I heard his voice, man, it shocked me. I won't lie. It shocked me because I did not expect to talk to him fucking ever again. But he's on my phone and he says, "Hey Mike, it's Roger. I've been resting. My doctors have told me that I have to rest. But you know what? I owe you some money. So I want to take care of it. I want to come down. I just wanted to make sure you're going to be there tonight. I know you usually are. But you don't have to call me back. My phone will be off. But I'll just drop by tonight and I'll see if you're there so I can get you this money that I owe you." Which is amazing to me. And it gets to what I said earlier when I said, when he was himself, he was a really good guy. It's just, unfortunately, when he spun off like a goddamn top into the stratosphere, when he was out there like fucking Pluto, like Martin Riggs, what the fuck? It was just nothing I wanted to deal with and wasn't prepared to deal with. But when he was a good guy, he was just that. So I went to work and then he didn't show up and pay me. So I tell you what a great guy he is, and he doesn't fucking show up. I'm like, all right. And the thing is, I didn't want to call him. Like, I wanted the dough, but I certainly didn't want to bother him because I felt worse for him, like I said, than anything else because his whole fucking life came apart. And I can live without whatever fucking money it was, although I really can't. But that's fine. So I was dealing with this fucking, the space heater. I was freezing. I had the door closed. I go into work the next day, and right around 6 when I'm about to leave, elevator goes up to the 3rd floor and comes down, and Roger gets off. And he walks off, and he's wearing clothes. He's not barefoot, wearing his same sodden hat. And he looks a million times better. Like, not even just acting. He looks, the second the elevator opens, I'm like, oh, that's him. He's back. He put on 25 pounds in a month because he started eating again and drinking and going on his meds and doing what he was supposed to do. He looked like a normal human being. And he walked into the office. And again, I don't know what he wants me to know. And I don't know if he knows that I know. And I don't know how much he wants me to know. So when he comes in, I'm as I've done this entire month, whenever anybody shows up and they come to talk to me, I go, "What do you know?" That's what I say to everyone because I'm not betraying anything. I'm a blank slate. So he walks into the office. And I go, "Hey, Roger, what's happened?" And he's like, "Hey, Mike, I just wanted to come in and say hi. How are you?" And I'm so sorry about this. And he hands me the money, all of it. And I go, "You didn't have to do this. I tried to get them to take care of it." He goes, "No, I did." He goes, "I did. We have an arrangement, and I wanted to take care of it." So I go, "Well, how do you want me to handle this going forward?" He goes, "No, I'll take care of it." He goes, "I will take care of it at least until the end of the year, and then after that, we'll figure out what happens." Which for me makes me think he knows something that I don't. If he's going to handle it till the end of the year, again, I'm constantly on alert anyway. So in my head, I go, "Oh, this gig ends at the end of the year," because why else would he say that? So in my mind, I'm like, fuck it. All right, I got to the end of December, and I get all that, and we're talking, and he's very nice, and I will say, he says, "Yeah, I had to go to the hospital." He goes, "I was out driving, and I got a little lightheaded, and I had to pull over, and the police came over, and I said, look, I have to go to the hospital, and I checked myself, and like, his version's a little different than the version that I had heard. But good for him. I don't care what his version is, as long as he's healthy and he's happy and he's doing fine, that's good. So he gives me the money, we shake hands, he takes off. And I go home, come to work the next day, and more tenants come in to visit me, and they start telling me terrible stories about this key card system, and they're bitching. And then they say to me, "Hey, do you know that they're putting in security cameras?" And I said, "Nope, nobody's told me anything." I said, "I've been here over a month, and I haven't met the guys from the management company. I've only met the girl who runs the building once for 2 minutes because she had to let me into the office." They're like, "Yeah, supposedly they're putting in a security system." I said, "Okay." And they said, "Also, they've been asking us about, our rent and stuff. And I said, well, what does that even mean? Because here's the thing. Again, it was a family-owned building. So Roger gave them leeway on their rent. Sometimes sometimes people would take 2 weeks. They'd be 2 weeks late, and he didn't charge them a late charge. Some people in their lease had it where they didn't have to pay until the 5th. Some people didn't have to pay until the 9th. Some people had to pay on the 1st. It was all a variable. Well, this management company now is trying to whip everything into shape, and they had all these posts everywhere where it's like your rent is due on the 1st, and you owe this and you owe that, and but the management company is going to everyone and asking them what their rent is, how much they owe per month, and when it's due. And this guy who lives in the building told me, he asked them, why? You have my lease, you have that information. They don't have the leases. Apparently, Roger would not turn over any of the information for the building to the new management company. So they came in blind. They don't have a fucking clue of who pays what or when they pay it or anything. So these people are like, because that's why they asked me what I made and what I wore. They're completely in the dark. They don't know a fucking thing about this building. Which then, I got to be honest, makes me even more mad that they wouldn't come and talk to me, because why wouldn't you ask me questions? I've been there over 9 years. Wouldn't I be? The other guy's been there 17 years. They don't fucking talk to us at all. So I talked to these tenants, and it turns out that he has not shared any information at all with the management company. So they're making things up as they go along. They're repairing things and they're doing all that, but also at the expense of making people let them in their apartment. You know how it is. When a management comes along, they don't give a fuck. They're just doing what they're going to do, and you have to agree to it. But when you start telling them about your lease, they're like, well, we don't have your lease. And I guess the whole thing was a clusterfuck. I don't know. Again, I'm there at night with the door closed trying to stay warm. That's it. All I know is I got to put my key in a master lock and then get the key the next day, and who fucking cares? So, did I mention that? They took my key away again. Did I say that? Yeah, the week I'm leaving, they make me leave my key that night. They're like, go ahead and leave your key. So I leave my key Tuesday. Then I fly for St. Louis on Wednesday morning. So I leave for St. Louis, and I went there. I told you I met Jared. We went out to eat, and then I was supposed to be up all night working on stuff. I crashed out. The next day, Thursday, I call Tim at work, and I'm like, what do you know? And he goes, well, I have information. I said, well, I have information too. I said, I saw Roger. He goes, really? And I said, yeah, he looked great, and he was really cool and really nice, and he told me that everything was fine, and he's okay, and I mean, I guess he seems really good. And he was, he asked about you, and he goes, I haven't talked to him yet. I go, well, I think he's actually sleeping at night now and stuff, so it's good. I go, he seems fine. I said, what do you know? He goes, well, did you know they're putting in security cameras here? And I said, yeah. I said, tenants have been telling me about the key card system and the new security camera. I go, did they give you a key card yet to get in? He goes, no, they haven't briefed me on it or anything. Do you know how many security cameras they're putting in? I said, no, I would imagine one at every door, right? He goes, well, I'm in the office now, and there's a monitor. There are 24 security cameras now in the building. I said, what? He goes, yeah, there's like 8 alone in the parking garage. There's like 2 at every gate, 2 at every door. There's a bunch in there, and it's on every floor. He goes, there's one behind me. I can see the back of my own head on the screen. So I fucking leave, and in one day they turn the place into Sliver. Billy Baldwin comes in, and he and Sharon Stone fucking wire the building for sound. And I said, well, did anybody say anything to you? And he goes, no. And he goes, I haven't heard anything. I haven't talked to anybody. There's no note here. He goes, but they've got all these cameras, and I know the key card system's coming in. He goes, I'm still waiting to hear. I said, all right. I said, well, I haven't talked to them. I said, I told you I talked to Roger. I said, he told me he was going to pay me through the end of the year, so that might be a hint. He goes, well, like I told you, they told me that we're here, and then we would get plenty of notice, and it doesn't matter. I said, okay. Cool. I said, well, I'm in St. Louis. I said, I'll talk to you soon. He said, great. Hung up with him, and I called the house, called to talk to Karen. And she goes, hey, you got a message here from Elizabeth at the management company. I said, what'd she have to say? She goes, they wanted to meet with you this afternoon at like 3:30. I said, well, obviously I'm not there. Did they call back? And she goes, no. And I go, they didn't call my cell. She said, well, she just said that they wanted to meet with you. I said, it's probably about the fucking keys and all that bullshit. I go, finally, they reach out to me. Really, they're going to finally sit me down and talk to me. And it's the one weekend I'm out of town. They want to tell me about security cards and cameras and all this bullshit. They probably wanted to mention the fucking fact that I'm going to have a camera shoved up my ass the second I show up. So I told her all about that. She goes, well, they called and they wanted to meet with you. So I stay up Thursday night. And I'm online at Facebook doing stuff in the St. Louis hotel room. And I get a text at 8:15 a.m. Friday morning. And it's from Tim. And I think I might actually still have it. Maybe I'll just read it to you. Hold on, let me take a look. Again, 8:15 a.m. I'm working on. Now Friday is the day I have to work on the show. Okay, and this comes through. Hey, Joel let me go this morning with 2 weeks severance pay. I'll call you later when I get off work at my real job. And that was it. That's all it said. And I kind of did a double take at the phone because, I mean, that guy's worked there 17 years. And they show up and fire him that day and only gets his 2 week severance. And now I know why they wanted to meet with me on Thursday afternoon. And now I know why they wanted to keep my keys on Tuesday night. And I'm not kidding, 5 minutes after that text, my phone rings. And I answer it. And it's Joel. And he goes, hey, Mike, it's Joel. And I said, how are you? And he said, good. He goes, I'm wondering if I could get to meet with you. He goes, I know your schedule's probably really weird. I said, well, yeah, I'm usually up all night and I sleep in the daytime. And he goes, yeah, we tried to get a hold of you yesterday. I said, I understand. Elizabeth called. He goes, yeah, but we wanted to meet with you. I wanted to, meet you in person finally. And I said, are you meeting me to talk to me about the same thing you talked to Tim about this morning? And there was silence. And he goes, yeah. That's what I have to talk to you about. I said, okay. I go, well, he already called me and told me what happened. So you're letting me go. He goes, yeah, but I wanted to give you the respect of meeting you in person and telling you to your face what was going on. And I said, well, that's nice after 6 weeks that you finally decided you wanted to meet me face to face. And it was to tell me that I no longer work there. He goes, well, we've been very busy with the transition. I go, I understand that. I go, but you know what? I've been there 6 weeks and I haven't met you once. I haven't met Janelle. I've met nobody. I met Janelle one time. I said, so we're done. Like right now you're firing me. And he goes, yeah, but I'm giving you 2 weeks severance pay. I go, 2 weeks. I said, I've been there over 9 years. He goes, well, we just want to thank you for your service. I want to make sure that we thank you, but you're just no longer needed here in the building. I said, why not? He goes, well, I would have talked to you about that if we met. I go, no, let's talk about it now. We're on the phone. Why am I no longer needed there? He goes, well, it's a small building. They don't need that much security. I said, oh, then why did you install 24 security cameras in that building if you don't need any security? Well, I just want to thank you for your service and tell you, thank you, but unfortunately we won't be needing you here anymore. I go, yeah, that's your pat answer. I get that. I go, and you're cutting me loose and I get 2 weeks severance. I go, but it doesn't answer the question. If you don't need security, why are there 24 security cameras? And why didn't you tell us this a month ago? Well, we just want to thank you for your service and we just, unfortunately, you're no longer needed. I said, I get it. All right, fine. I said, what's up with my final check? And he goes, well, you have a time card here. And then we have your other check. And I go, well, that time card's wrong because, he goes, I just doubled it. So I doubled whatever that was. And I go, well, there's an hour or two missing from that card because I had to leave early. I go, so this next check, you actually owe me more money than that. He goes, oh, well, we already cut your final check. And I go, well, you need to cut another one. And he goes, well, we cut checks in cycles. And I go, well, you need to tell me when that cycle is because you owe me more money. And he said, all right, well, that's no problem. I'll take care of it. I go, great. And I hung up. And I got fired from Graveyardville after on and off for 9 years with 2 weeks severance pay. After being assured that we would have plenty of notice. Plenty of notice for me was 5 minutes because I got that from Tim. So I sat in the hotel room, and I got a show to get ready for that night, which is fine. I mean, because that's my job. That's my real job. That's what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. So it was easy to focus on that for an hour. And then I started to think about bills and when bills were due and what was going to happen. And I had to go to Craigslist. And I spent Friday looking for jobs from St. Louis. Like, I'm on the road to do stand-up and do the one-man show that I'm more proud of than anything I've ever done in my life. And I have to spend the majority of the day applying for fucking admin jobs and security jobs and anything. That's the problem. Anything. You remember I told you, when you're in a situation that you have to stay in, there's nothing worse. Except for when you have to find a situation, when you have to settle for something less than yourself, when you have to settle for anything just to meet the obligations that you've unfortunately put in your own way. So Friday, I spent the majority of the day on job sites, applying, trying to do what I could from St. Louis, and then sat down to do the show. I wanted to spend most of the day working on the show. Well, I knew I had to hop in the shower around 5 to be at the theater by 6. So I wanted to take a good 2 or 3 hours to do the show. I started to work on the show at 4:30. I sat down and started to figure out some stuff, and went to the theater, wound up in the green room, and I'm not kidding you. I'm in that shitty theater that I told you about last week, in that banquet hall. I'm upstairs freezing my ass up in the green room. I'm job searching on my phone while my fucking music is playing downstairs, and there's an audience of people who've bought tickets to see me, waiting for me to come downstairs and entertain them. I'm upstairs in a shitty cold banquet hall looking for a job on my phone. And look, I don't expect you to feel bad for me. I don't expect anybody to feel sorry for me. Everybody has to do the things they have to do in life to survive. But when you think you're better, when you think more of yourself, when you think there's things you're supposed to be doing, when you're supposed to be more than you are, just a crushing blow to find out that you're not. So I went downstairs to do the show, and these motherfuckers, again, I told you last week, they pissed me off, and I probably wasn't in a very good headspace anyway, but I did not exaggerate last week. They fucked everything up. They fucked up the music. They fucked up everything. And that was what led me to go on Facebook and write the post where I said, you know what, I'm a child, but sometimes people make you act like a child. And because I wanted to scream anyway because of what had happened earlier in the day. I wanted to tell you guys what had happened. You know why? Because, and this is going to sound awful probably, because you are what I have. You are what I have. You are the people I can go to and say something, and you will make me feel better about it. You're the Band-Aid on every cut that I self-inflict upon myself, because I can go to you and say to you this, and all of you believe in me, and you believe that it's going to work out, and you assure me of that. I mean, Karen, obviously, okay? But I don't want to dump all that on her. I mean, psychically, the shit that she's been through with me and had to watch me struggle and settle and not do the things I was supposed to do and not become the man that she thought I was going to be, I couldn't dump it on her. And I wanted to reach out to you guys and go, hey, I got fired today, because I wanted everybody to go, oh, that's what I wanted. I wanted an attaboy. I wanted a group attaboy from everyone to fucking touzle my hair and go, everything's going to be fine. Even though it's not. It's not, man. I know it's not. But it helps when people tell you that it's going to be. So I went downstairs, and they fucked everything up. Fucked up the music. Fucked up the room. Fucked up the cues. I mean, it was just a nightmare. And then I got on stage, and that was another thing where I said, I told you last week that I wanted to leave. And it's funny, I was not kidding when I said I wanted to tell everyone in the audience, let's get out of here. Let's just leave. Because again, that's a function of, I want to do the show, But I also wanted to go and be with people who cared about me at a time when I felt really, really bad. Like I felt as low as I've ever felt, and scared. I won't lie. Fucking scared of what's going to happen. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't. And so part of me wanted to just kind of go. I almost wanted to get drunk. And I know that sounds weird. I'm not kidding you. You know, we wound up in a White Castle, but if we would have wound up in a bar, I would have gotten drunk last fucking Friday, because I that was where I was at headspace wise. I wanted to get drunk with friends, and I wanted people to pat me on the back and tell me that it was going to be okay. So I went on stage, and they fucked everything up. They fucked up the music. They fucked up the cues, and I got up on stage, and I told everybody I wanted to leave, and meant it, but still talked myself out of it. And then I couldn't help it. I told myself not to. I told myself to get past it and not worry about it and do your show, because that's what a fucking professional does. But I'm kind of redefining professional, at least as far as it applies to me, in that my professional outlook is the guy who just talks about everything. And so I couldn't keep it in. And so I tried to get them to leave with me, and everybody kind of laughed, and they realized they didn't want to leave with me. And I think they didn't see the desperation behind my eyes that really did want to leave with them. And then I told the crowd that I had been fired that morning in Graveyardville and had spent all day looking for jobs. And it's funny, you know, I mentioned last week that the show was like 3 hours and 35 minutes long. It's because the first 30 minutes of the show was me telling them the story I just told you. Going on and on about how you know, Roger went crazy, and you know, how gradually I was being forced out and didn't see it. And then at finally that day, I had gotten the call to whack me. And I told them all of this. And it's funny, when I told the crowd, when I said, hey, look, I got fired today from Graveyardville, there was a gasp in the room, because you guys, you know me. You are my friends. And I know that sounds fucking ridiculous and weird. I mean, you're fans or whatever the fuck, but the bottom line is you listen to the show and you are part of my life. Whether in reality or in theory, I'm a human soap opera, and you followed it for 4 years. And that was a plot twist that people in the audience were not ready for. So when I dropped it on them, there was a gasp where people then, the rest of the show I thought went well, but I think I sabotaged myself a little bit by dropping that early on everybody, because it made people worry for me. And look, there are people in the audience there who probably didn't give a fuck. All right. There are people, and I may be really inflating my self-importance by trying to make it sound like people cared. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. But I felt it when I said it, that there was genuine shock in the room, and then I had to rebound from that and do an actual show for them. But, you know, for 5 years now, I have talked about Graveyardville and my adventures there. And to then have it all unceremoniously yanked out from underneath me that morning, I had to share it. I had to tell them. And then when I did the podcast last week, I was going to tell you guys the story of St. Louis and the story of me losing my job. Because I had told a room full of people that I had been fired, and I didn't want it to get out without me being the one telling you. Like, isn't that weird? How strange is that feeling? I didn't want someone to post it on my Facebook wall or say, oh man, we hope you find another job. Like, and then, because then I would have to explain it there, and I wouldn't be able to explain it in the words that I wanted to use. So I was going to do all this last week. Now, I don't know where the fuck we are time-wise now, but I mean, you saw what last week's fucking show was like. And I kept telling Lily, I go, look, I have a whole other story that I have to tell on top of this. And then I got to talking about whatever the fuck I got to talking about last week, and she's holding up the pad of paper, and I'm seeing the time just fritter away. And then I'm like, I can't do it. I have to put it off, and I just have to hope that people don't start posting shit on my wall. People have written me from the show that night and to find out what's going on. And to answer that question, folks, I don't know, man. I don't know. I came home. I talked to Karen about it. I went and collected my final check, and it's gone. I got $11 in the bank. You know, in my bank account. We have another bank account with Karen's money that she makes, whatever. Who cares? You don't care, all right? But I only tell you that because, man, I don't fucking have a clue. People who've written me, they're like, hey, dude, what's going on? And I've spent the whole time back applying for jobs and applying for every job. Like I said, I applied at Trader Joe's. I've applied at I'm re-entering real life. And I can barely spit those words out at you. And I don't mean to, because you know what? You live in real life. We all live in real life. But I'm 45, and I have always thought that I was going to be more, and I always thought that it was going to work. And I don't anymore. I don't. At least not right now. It will eventually. You know what I mean? Because I mentioned it earlier in the show that all I can do is talk. I say it all the time as a joke. It's not a joke anymore, because I'm trying to find jobs, and literally the only thing I can tell them is that I can talk. Like I don't have any skills. I can write and I can talk, and I'm funny. And man, are there so few jobs in the public sector that embrace those. As a matter of fact, all jobs want to beat that out of you, man. Any job you have wants to make sure that you're not funny, and they want to make sure that you don't talk, and they just want you to come in and drone it up and fucking do what you got to do to make sure that the cardboard boxes get built, or the phones get answered, or the spreadsheets get made, and they don't want you to be you at all, And it's a speech I've given Karen over the years many times. When you go there from 8 to 5, you're for them. Just give them what they want, do whatever they need you to be, and then at 5:01 you're you, and you get to be you the rest of the fucking day, and you don't ever have to worry. But holy shit, when you've just been you for 20 years, to have to go back to being what they tell you should be, I don't fucking know, man. I don't know. I just don't know. I'm trying. Like I said, I applied at all these jobs. I mean, fuck, I almost applied at Chipotle the other fucking day. Chipotle, are you fucking kidding me? Put a razor in my fucking neck, Chipotle. But I have bills to pay. I got fucking 12 credit cards, and I got 2 car payments, and I got 2 cell phones and a landline and rent and electric and 2 gas cards, and I don't know what the fuck is going to happen. I don't. And I'm not dumping this on you guys like, yay, and cheerleading and bullshit. Nothing you say will fix it. Nothing. I'm not reaching out for help. I actually, you know what? What's funny? I did reach out for help. There's a listener to this show. Her name's Erica. And I've met Erica a few times. She gave me like an Oz mug from the HBO series Oz once I talked about Oz, which was thanks. I appreciate drinking my coffee out of a fucking reminder of rape every morning. I appreciate that. But it was nice of her. She came through. She came to see me a couple times at shows. And when I was talking on here once about Karen and how Karen was really having trouble, Erica reached out to me and she said, my son works at a temp agency. Maybe Karen could call him, which I found astonishing that she would reach out like that. So I related to Karen. Karen called this young man and went and visited and took her tests and did all the stuff. And they actually offered Karen a job that she would have taken if she hadn't been offered a job an hour earlier at a better place. So I wrote Erica and I said, listen, you are so nice. Thank you so much. And I appreciate it. But here's a weird question. Do you think I could talk to your son? Because right now things have changed, and I might need to get something else going. And she wrote me back, and she's like, you know what? I love your stories about Graveyardville, but it's time for you to move on. Go ahead and contact him. So I did, and man, literally they should have just invited me in and thrown a cold bucket of water in my face and sent me home. Because I don't know what the real world is like anymore. I used to show up and do jokes and write them and send them over. Any show I've had, it's a particular skill set, all right? You can't do it, folks. You can't. But it's been drawn into sharp relief that I can't do anything any of you can do. Anything. Because I thought I could just get some shitty office job. I'm like, well, just, you know what? Make me the face of the office. Why not? Why not make me a receptionist? Because I'm funny. I can talk on the phone. I can handle phones. I can do all this. I'm a good person with people. I have those kind of skills. And it's like so funny when you would watch in the old days, they would talk, like they would make jokes about dating services and jobs. And I'm a people person. And you would laugh because it sounded so empty and just shallow. And that's who I am and what I am. That's who I am and what I am. I have nothing to back up what I am or can do or say anything. I called this temp agency and they said, well, you know, they were very nice, and I talked to her son and he was like, yeah, I'll meet with you. They sent me a test to take. And, the first test was all about like filing and alphabetizing. And I mean, shit I can do in my sleep. Anybody could do it in their sleep, I think, honestly. So I just did it all. And I know I aced it. I got everything right. And then they had another test, which was a typing test. And I got about a paragraph and a half typed in the amount of time, whatever. And then they had an Excel test and a PowerPoint test and a Word test. And I didn't even take the Excel test or the PowerPoint test because I don't know those. I have them. They sit in my toolbar on my computer, and I'm sure they're great, but I wouldn't know the first fucking thing about how to use them. Not at all. Nothing. You know what they did? They came with Word, and I can use Word because I can type jokes into Word and hit save. That's it. It said something like transfer the view plane on this screen. I don't know what the fuck that means. With Word, I type jokes and I hit save. If you got a job that lets me do that, I can fucking do it. But all these questions it had asked me about, I couldn't do them. I couldn't, and I just fucking laughed. I was in my house and I laughed, and I just didn't take the tests. So I had to meet with him the next day. I came in, and he was very nice. They had me fill out some applications, and I sat with him, and he goes, I said, look, I've got to be honest with you. Your mom was very nice, and she asked me to come in and talk to you, and I asked her, and she arranged for me to be able to come in and talk to you. I said, and I know I'm giving you nothing to work with. I said, I have no private sector experience for the past 15 years. I go, any job I've had has been with a television show or self-employed. I said, you ask me to fill out this list of all the places I've worked nowhere. I've worked for shows, writing for them. I haven't done any sort of real job in at least 15 years. And he's like, all right. He goes, well, let's take a look at your tests. I go, well, let's talk about those before you pull them up. I don't want you to think I'm some maniac. I don't know anything about Excel. I don't know anything about PowerPoint. I don't know those things. Word, I can type documents and save them, and I can change, do general basic stuff. But formatting and stuff, fuck no, I can't do it. I said, I don't know how to do it. And I was very forthcoming. I just, you know why? Because embarrassment is a real spur in the ass to make you admit stuff. Like, I didn't want to try to get over on him. He was giving his time to me that I didn't deserve, because I'm sure there were more deserving immigrants out there who can't even speak fucking English who were more worthy of a spot in the chair in front of him that day. And he looked at the tests and he looked at whatever, and he said, so what are you looking for money-wise? And I wrote down a little more than I was making at the security job, just because I really don't know what I'm looking for. I've either made $12 an hour or I've made $2,500 a week. That's quite a range. So I wrote down a little more than what I thought, what I made at the security gig. And he goes, all right. He goes, well, I'm looking at your stuff here. He goes, would you take we have a job in Calabasas. It's a telephone sales job. Fuck. I'd rather panhandle, honestly, because I can't do that kind of work. And I know you're like, dude, you're having this pity party and you can't fucking work and you're going to bitch about the quality of job. No, I can't do that job. I'm incapable of calling people and trying to sell them shit on the phone. I'm terrible at it. I can barely speak to you here. And I'm not trying to get you to buy anything but me. I talk you out of liking me half the fucking time. How the fuck am I going to talk you into wanting a lawn chair? So he said they had a job in Calabasas. It was like a telephone sales job for $9 an hour. $9. That doesn't, I could work a full week. I could work 50 hours a week at $9 an hour and still barely make my nut. And so I told him, I go, this is going to sound ridiculous after the speech I just gave you about not offering you anything to work with, but I can't do that. He goes, okay. I said, yeah, I'm looking for something different than that. I go, honestly, I don't know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for people to pay me to do stuff. That's it. I wish I could be more specific, but I can't. That's what I got. And he said, all right, well, here's this, here's this, here's this. Thank you for your time. Because I think even he knew that it was going to be fruitless to sit there and throw these jobs at me that I was going to turn down. So he gave me some time cards and a business card, and again, he was extremely professional. He was very nice, and he tried to go the extra mile for me, and I couldn't go with him on that trip. I was like, I can't do that. I turned down the one job he offered me, and I think at that point he just went, well, it was nice meeting with you, and if anything comes up, I can call you, and he'd let me go. The whole thing took 20 minutes, and I walked out to the street, and I went right back to what I've been doing, which is applying online, applying for everything from, like I said, admin jobs to office jobs to data entry jobs to, like I said, I applied at Trader Joe's. I applied at UPS. I applied at UPS to be a seasonal fucking package lifter. And you know what I'm going to have to do? I'm going to have to go back to bouncing. I'm going to have to. That's the only thing. Although now, if that might turn into a thing. I don't know now if there's they've ratcheted up the skill level of bouncers where it's like you can't just be fat and angry anymore. They need you to come in and actually have a skill set. That's going to be a problem. But I'm going to go back to having fucking 19-year-olds spit in my face and having to clothesline somebody. And, fuck, maybe it makes this show better. I have no idea. But man, I really, I don't fucking know where I'm at right now. But I'm breathing. So I guess I'm still alive. Even if signs seem to tell me otherwise. The only good news I have, the only news that, and it's going to sound awful, the only beacon, the only the only thing that I know for sure I can control is this show. This show. Because this is the only thing I have that is truly just mine. And I guess really not. Because if Lily decides to bail, I have nothing. But as far as I'm concerned, if I'm the only one who has a say in this, I will always do this show. Always. I don't give a fuck if I might work Wednesdays or whatever my future holds, whatever bullshit job I've got to go and fucking dive into. And look, I recognize me bitching about having to get a real job. It has to make all of you sick. I mean, it has to make all of you just go, man, we work real fucking jobs, dude. And yeah, get out here. Get back. Welcome to the working week, motherfucker. I get that. But sadly, I'm not you. So I can't look upon myself with disdain, and I instead have to feel sorry for myself. But I will do this show. I have to. I'm the boss, so I can't fucking fire myself from this. And I have to do this show. I've found some kind of temporary sanity in this, and it's not going away. This is the only thing I think that at least lets me keep a fucking finger, a frozen breath in show business at all, is this show, and knowing that I'm able to put it out there. And as long as people listen, which I guess they will. I mean, I hope. I don't know. After this fucking performance for the last half hour, who the fuck knows who I've lost? I can hear literally my ears hurt from all the clicking of the iPod vaginas getting their cords yanked out of it all over fucking America and the rest of the world. But I just thought it was. I thought it was going to work. I mean, I not that it won't, but you invest the time and you think that it's going to be more, and you think that it's going to be better, and then you have to watch the dream fade into the sunset as you ask somebody if they want a bowl or a tortilla for their burrito. Holy God, Chipotle, really? Because you know what? When I grew up, I made my friends laugh for free. And then it progressed, and I was able to chase it, and things broke a certain way, and I was able to make strangers laugh for money. And here we are. I get to make my friends laugh for free again. I've come around full circle. You guys can get me at mikeandmikeschmidtcomedy.com. You guys can follow me at twitter.com/the40year-old-boy. You can be my friend at facebook.com/the40year-old-boy. You can be David Hernandez's friend at facebook.com/davidmexhernandez. Our friend Lily Von Stupp has 2 Twitter accounts. You can follow her on twitter.com/Lily Von Stupp and twitter.com/MNTs. You can be her friend at facebook.com/Lily Von Stupp. And if you'd like to write her a personal note and reach out to her right now and find out, well, you know, if you're Britney Spears' people, go ahead and reach out to her at Lily at burlesque411.com. That's Lily, Lili, at burlesque411.com.
Mug, drink your coffee. Mug, hold some pencils. Mug, soak your forks deep. Mug, hold more pencils. Mugs, Thorgar and Yeaver on these mugs. There's Flamebush Mini on these mugs. Go buy these wicked awesome mugs at MikeSchmidtComedy.com. Mugs, 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 mugs.
Want to remind you folks about the Monday Night Teas every Monday night at the 3 clubs on Santa Monica and Vine. 10 o'clock p.m. the show starts, and the fun does not stop until, I'm going to say, 10 o'clock p.m. the next week. Well, no, actually, the fun stops at 9:30 p.m. the next week, and then starts again at 10 o'clock p.m. Holy shit! It's a half hour short of a week full of fun. At the Monday Night Teas, and that is a great show, one of the longest running, perhaps the longest running burlesque show in the history of Los Angeles, certainly the sexiest and hottest show. And I will tell you this, I know the producer of that show. She's a good friend. Not only is she a producer of live events, but she also produces recorded events, not unlike this show. In fact, very much like this show. You know what fucking it is, this show? Her name is Lily Von Stupp. Hey, Lily.
Hello, Michael.
I like that. She's going pigtails right now. It's a good look. Wow, that actually is. You really do look cute. That's pretty cool.
You're insane.
No, I'm not. That was a good look for you.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm fantastic.
How was the Monday Night Teas this week?
Spec-fucking-tacular.
Yeah. Now, before we get into that, are you okay right now? Because I know that the last half hour of the show was pretty rough. Have you slashed your wrists in any way? Is there?
It was not rough. It was actually quite honest and beautiful.
Then why I saw you rummaging under the sink looking for poison to drink?
I was not.
Some sort of hemlock to take?
Not at all.
All right. Well, I guess that crude noose you fashioned out of sausage links is an accident. So the 3 clubs, Santa Monica and Vine, hosts the Monday Night Teas, your show.
Yes.
And how was this week's Monday Night Teas?
Spectacular.
It was the Meat Fest, I understand.
Yeah.
That's where that noose of sausage links came from.
Absolutely.
Meat Fest 3. Let me go ahead and say this really quick. Did you ever put that the poster online?
Yeah.
Folks, if you haven't seen it, you need to go to facebook.com/Monday Night Teas. Is that what it is?
Just go to MondayNightTeas.com and click on the merch link.
Click on the merch link because there are posters available for last week's show. And I did not think of this. This is Lily's. I'm in awe of it. I admire it so much. It is a poster with all of the dudes from the show in various costumes, and they're dressed like the Village People. And the tagline for the show was, "It takes a village, people." With a comma there. I'm a huge fan. I love it. I love wordplay, as you all know. But I dug the poster. I thought it was really cool, and it's a bunch of dudes. And the only thing I would have done myself, personally, if you don't mind me saying so, what's on the backside of that poster?
Nothing.
It should have been them all naked.
I wish I could have done that.
Yeah. It should have.
I'm working on that for next year.
Good thinking.
I'm
Yeah,
working on
it's the only thing. Like,
calendar.
yeah, literally like heads and tails, or like flip side. Like it's like because they're all in full costume, and it takes a village, people. And if you flip it over, the mirror image, and they're all completely naked in the same poses, would have been fucking awesome.
I am totally with you.
But I love this poster. It's so great, so amazing, and that was a good show. It was well attended. I hope.
It was extremely well attended and extremely loud.
And extremely well endowed.
Men at burlesque shows are like, yeah, woo, woo. Women at burlesque shows are, take it off. Woo!
Nice.
Oh, that was loud.
Good. Well, that's good news. And the
It
dudes
was
were, and you hired a bunch of good-looking guys, and
Loud, drunk women.
nothing wrong with that. That's perfect.
It was great. It was wonderful. I couldn't have asked for a better show.
Good. Glad to hear it. And then this week's show is this Monday at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, and it is a calendar release party. Yadi Presents, who is a friend of mine who produces mostly in the OC. She put together a calendar, and she was kind enough to ask me to be in it. So I said, hey, let's do a Hollywood release party for it, because she had one in the OC last week.
Yeah.
So it's a calendar. It's available online for $12. I am Miss September.
Wait. Is this the picture of you at the desk downstairs?
Yeah.
God damn, that's a perfect picture.
Isn't that a great photo?
Yeah, because you see, look, a lot of strippers get a lot of pictures taken and stuff, and they're posing, and they look posed. Your picture you look harried, and you look kind of like over it all. It's just a perfect look on your face for the setting. It just looks great.
It was me. That was the thing that I really loved about it, because we were shooting here in the oldest building
In Hollywood, yeah.
Hollywood. And we have that silly ring bell at the front desk, and it was just like, wouldn't it be funny if I'm like ringing for service here at this hotel?
It was great.
So the photographer was great. The lighting I thought was really.
It is. I see a ton of pictures, and I'll see even pictures of you, and I'm like, oh, okay, those are nice. But that jumped out. That was.
It is me. The pose is me. The smirk is me. Everything about it.
Exactly. It's when I got my headshots. When I did my the first time I ever did my headshots, black and white headshots, a million years ago, when I still had a prayer in this business. I sat down and I looked at all the pictures, and it was all smiley and look at that guy normal. And there was one photo where they were like, yeah, just fuck around. And I put a gun to my head. Like I took my right hand and I made finger guns and I put it at my temple. And I made a smirk. And when they got the sheet back, the proof sheet, even the photographer, we looked at it and our eyes immediately went to that picture and we went, yeah, that's it. That's it. And that's how I felt about that photo. I've seen photos of you and you look great and stuff. But when I saw that photo, I went, that is a picture of you. That's really good. So it caught you. It captured Lily Von Stupp.
Very, very proud to be in the calendar. So
you should be.
We've got 10 of the 12 months
performing.
actually performing.
What's the website for the calendar?
If you just go to the brown paper tickets, it has all of that there, because it's a long, convoluted.
Oh, okay. Well, so if you go to MondayNightTees.com, that'll get a link to brownpapertickets.com to not only buy tickets to the calendar release party, but we'll also have the calendar, a link where you can go ahead and purchase that. And can they see the photos online? Can they see some of those?
Yeah, it's on my Facebook page.
Oh,
and
good.
It's on the page at Brown Paper Tickets as well.
Perfect. Go to Lily Von Stupp's Facebook page, which you're all friends with her, right? Aren't you friends with her there?
God, I hope not.
Oh, come on. I hope you are. I don't know. You see?
I'm friends with a lot, and I gotta say thank you, because there were listeners who gave to my Indiegogo project.
Oh, good.
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you very much.
Thanks to everybody who went ahead and contributed to that. That was Indiegogo for, and I'll let you know when that show gets closer. Will there be tickets available, or is the private show
No,
going to be?
The private party is simply for funders, so it's closed.
All
You
right.
can't buy tickets to it.
Cool.
But if you're in LA anytime between January 10th and February 16th, the gallery is open and the photos will be available for viewing.
Fantastic news. So go ahead to, like I said, MondayNightTees.com for information about all of the coming shows and for links to tickets and things like that for anything that's going to be coming up. And, Lily's birthday show will be in January, all sorts of fun stuff. So go ahead and look for links for tickets and things like that at MondayNightTees.com. Remember, go to Facebook.com/the40year-old-boy and become my friend. And also join one of the pages to bring me to your town live. All of that's on hold, so I should stop plugging it. But San Antonio, Detroit, I still want to come to Austin. England is a big thing. But I think a lot of you may have a general idea that stuff's kind of in flux right now. So I have to figure out exactly what I'm going to do as a human being before I can start realizing what I'm going to do as a, whoopee Halloween costume comedian person. So once I get real life straightened out, then I can get my hopeful life straightened out. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Remember that you can go to MikeSchmidtComedy.com and go to the Joe Business page. Plenty of stuff on there for you to look at and or enjoy. First of all, while you're on MikeSchmidtComedy.com, don't forget to go to the Explosions of Id page and see all of the fun Explosions of Id with the little sound bites and the pictures. Mex does amazing artwork, and he was able to take my dumb words and make them funnier or worth something by adding some artwork to it, so that's great. Go to Joe Business. It's the merchandise page there on MikeSchmidtComedy.com. There are T-shirts for sale, Scar Panda and Red Boy. That was a whistling S on Scar Panda right there. That was crazy. Red Boy and Scar Panda are available. Mugs, of course, from Zazzle.com, the Thorgar and Yeep and the Fireboy mug. There's artwork available, autographed artwork from the show, either explosions of id or actual artwork from the show itself, and that will be autographed by me, our friend Lily, and our friend David. And what else is there on that page? There's Zazzle.com, as I mentioned, the mugs. Please don't forget about tweakedaudio.com/40, where you can get autoerotic asphyxiation earbuds and cock ring watches available all the time for you. Our friend Bruce over there taking care of me, and our friend Peggy always sending me notices to let me know that you guys have bought something. Thank you so much for keeping Peggy busy. Remember that you can go and donate to the show in the upper left-hand corner of any page on MikeSchmidtComedy.com. There is a one-time donation option, or $2 a month, $5 a month, $10 a month, or $25 a month. All of the donations, of course, go to keeping the show afloat. Thank you so much. We do appreciate it very much. And please remember the download sets are available. Year 1, Year 2, Year 3, and Year 4 are available individually or together as part of the Podcast of the Caribbean set. So if you'd like to be on Stranger Mikes, go ahead and pick that up right now. And that's 3 sets for the price of 4. Check that. 4 sets for the price of 3. Although, folks, I don't know if you've heard, things are very rough on this end. So I'm going to have to change that deal. It's 3 sets for the price of 4. So I hope you don't mind that. And I'm sure you'll be more than happy to go ahead and contribute and jump on there. Also, Schmitty Comes Alive is available. It is the live set from the Los Angeles Podcast Festival. 90 minutes of basically me doing exactly what I should be doing, making people laugh in a live setting, and probably the best representation of what I want to do right there. So go ahead and pick it up. 90 minutes, Los Angeles Podcast Festival, sold out, available for just $5, an audio download right there at MikeSchmidtComedy.com on the Joe Business page. You guys can check out part 2. That's right. Part 2 of my appearance on Murray Valeriano's Road Stories podcast. That's available right now. If you go to iTunes, you can just Google or iTunes Road Stories, or search for Murray, or search for my name. I don't know. It'll come up. Or there's a link on my Facebook page. I also tweeted out a link as well. So go ahead and find part 2 of me, Pat Francis, and Chip Chinnery waxing rhapsodic on Murray Valeriano's Road Stories podcast while horrible, horrible pizza congealed in the background. I think you can probably hear that. It's funny, Murray, not to belabor this point, but he wrote me, and he's like, you want to talk about this food thing on the air, man? We should have a fight about it. Like he was just whatever. And so I didn't respond. And then he wrote me back, and he's like, seriously, would you want to come and talk about that? Because it's my show's known among my fans for being the only podcast with craft services, and for you to come down and make fun of me, it would be funny to discuss it. And I haven't answered him yet, but part of me is just like, well, no, because you're going to have shitty food for me when I get there, so why would I come back? Yeah, that's right. Perhaps I'll do it. I don't know, folks. Do I want to engage in an argument with a very famous and popular Murray Valeriano on his own podcast? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. And we'll see what kind of muck he digs up to serve me on the only podcast in the world with craft services. I got to go home and eat now. I got to have some dinner. I don't know. Are you still eating leftovers? Do you have leftovers? Did you bring any from Eddie's place?
We didn't even have turkey.
Neither did I. What'd you have?
Chicken cordon bleu.
Oh, that's not bad. Homemade or like
I think so.
frozen or, yeah. Cordon bleu, that's a rough one. That's a rough one. When I was a kid, we used to eat these chicken Kievs that were frozen. And it was like, for us, honestly, it was like eating a delicacy. Like we were in the fanciest restaurant of all, because it was just this breaded chicken thing that was filled with like butter and herbs. But as little kids who just always ate, macaroni and cheese and bullshit, literally my mom would make chicken Kievs. They'd be in the freezer and they were hers. We couldn't eat them. So when she would finally say, all right, you guys can, make the chicken Kievs, we'd be like, oh my God. And we would just, this amazing treat. It would change everything. I actually cooked. I made Italian beef, Chicago Italian beef for Thanksgiving this year. Yeah. And then Karen made everything else. She made macaroni and cheese, homemade macaroni and cheese. She made fucking stuffing with chorizo in it. And it was an emerald's stuffing. Yeah, it was amazing. It was just, dude, food was so good. But I'm going to go home. I think I have beef left. I don't know. I finished the mac and cheese yesterday. But I got to get out of your house. See, this is the thing. Lily's on the 4th floor of the oldest building in Hollywood. So normally I would take an elevator up. But I didn't take the elevator today because I saw a prank show in Brazil. And if you haven't seen it, you got to find it because I put it on my Facebook page. It is the greatest prank I've ever seen. And look, I don't watch those shows, so there's probably been a million things even better or scarier. I don't know. Feel free to yell at me. But as a guy who doesn't care for pranks, who doesn't want to see that kind of stuff, when I saw this, I went, you're kidding me. It's a I didn't want to give it away, right? I shouldn't give it away. It's a prank in an elevator. So you just need to check it out. You need to find it. It was a Brazilian show. I put it on my Facebook page, and I mean, it was. I sat there riveted. My palms were sweating watching it because the best part. Well, fuck, should I just tell people what it is? It's an elevator, and people are going up, and then they freeze. Like they put all the lights out in the elevator, and they have a little girl sneak in through a side panel, but she's not just. It was a brilliant idea because they make her look like she's dead. I mean, they just make her up like a ghost and they fuck her hair up and she's holding a baby doll, which is genius. And the best part is she's just standing there when the lights come back on and everybody freaks out and they don't know what to do. And she just stares straight ahead and then she just starts screaming. The screaming sells it. It sells the entire bit. The fact that she doesn't like boo or, anything, the fact that she's just standing there and then she just starts that high-pitched child screaming nonsense and then the lights go back out and she disappears again. God damn it, genius. And so I loved it and I posted it and then I came here today and I'm not kidding. It was the first thing I thought of when I went to the elevator door. I pressed the button, and then in my head I went, I'm not getting, especially here, because if it happens here, it's not a prank. It's not a prank at all. There's really ghosts in this building, and they would scream at me, and I would have to be on the elevator with them. I know it. And she was dressed like something out of The Ring, and she looked so fucking great. The makeup was perfect. And it's so funny. Then people online are like, oh, I would have kicked this bitch in the face, or I would have fucked her up. And it's like, I see that. If she had come towards you or grabbed you, then I could see fighting her. But the fact that she stood away from them all the way across the other side of the car and then just started screaming, you don't know what to do. It's just because you're freaked out, dude. You don't expect that. That's what I'm saying. I love all these fucking brave dudes who are like, if that ever happened to me on an elevator, I would kick the shit out. No, you wouldn't. You would stand there and the lights would come back on and you'd be like, what the fuck is that? And then it would scream and you would, because well, maybe young people would. I don't know. Maybe you fucking internet douchebags, you'd be heroes and you'd fucking tackle her or whatever the fuck. Because someone wrote that on my Facebook page, like, I can't believe they didn't jujitsu that little girl. Well, the girl didn't attack them or do anything, and she didn't try to kill them or murder them. She was just standing there, and then you're just like, what the fuck? And then she starts screaming, and you don't know what the fuck to do. So, I guess, you know what? I guess we just need to start a preemptive strike. Whenever I get in an elevator and there's a little girl, I'm going to punch her in the face. You know what? I think that makes sense. That completely makes sense. Before she starts screaming, before she grabs a baby doll, and even before the lights go out, I need to make sure that my elevator is prank-free and ghost-free. So anytime I get in an elevator and there's a little kid, I'm going to punch it in the face. Because adults don't scare me. Who gives a shit about a scary adult ghost? No one cares. I can handle an adult ghost. But a little kid ghost? Fuck that. Baby doll and crazy white makeup. And even if you look like a normal kid, because you know what? You're not going to fool me, ghost. You're going to dress up like a normal kid and try to fucking fool me? You're not, because then we're going to go up like 2 floors, and then boom, you whip off the kid costume and you're a ghost again. Fuck that. When I get on an elevator from now on, I am fucking a kid up. That kid is getting romped. Any kid, you know what, a kid, if you see me coming, if the elevator door opens and you see me, we're going to have a staring contest. And if I take 1 foot in the elevator, you better step 1 foot out, because when those doors close, you're going to get fucked up. And it's not going to be pretty. And then, you know what? I may just beat you to death in that elevator, and then your ghost will actually haunt the elevator. See, it's cause and effect. Maybe that's what happened to that little girl. She started screaming at one time and she got attacked, and then she was killed on that elevator, and now there's a ghost. Well, actually, it was a prank show. All right, I know that. That's not really what happened. Because I have a tone. Because you know why? Because I talk quickly and I don't fucking think. That's why. I think that's what it means when you have a tone. Is you don't fucking bother to care what comes flying out of your goddamn mouth. I try to grow the show and I want people to get on board, and they're like, I listen to it and you talk too fast. Really, I talk too fast. How the hell else am I supposed to cram all of this into a small 3-hour window? Dude, there's no script. I just go over this shit on the fly. It makes me laugh. If it doesn't make you laugh, turn the fucking station. And by turn the station, I mean turn the wheel of your car right into a guardrail. Jesus fuck. Hey, where you going, boy, 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 boy?